The new football season starts tonight, and the only way to hear the EFL on national radio is with Talksport and Talksport 2. We've teamed up once again with the EFL to bring you up to 150 exclusive commentaries through the season, more games than ever before. And it all starts now. We're at all 4 EFL games. The show comes from League 2 New Boys Chesterfield. The commentary comes from Blackburn against Derby in the Championship. Tonight's going to be a good night, and stand by for 9 months of magical EFL madness.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Football is back, the EFL is back. Adebayo turns, shoots, scores! Elijah Adebayo gets Luton level.
Dan James into the area, shoots! And Dan James scores for Leeds United.
Now Goodmanson, he's got a fourth for Burnley.
Falls on the volley, what a strike! Derby Day joy for the Borough.
Jayden Bogle! Sheffield United lead. Portsmouth take the lead, and it's Connor Shaughnessy. Van Ewijk brings it down, scores! Milan Van Ewijk may well have won it for Coventry City.
Bellingham, and he scores! And Sunderland hit the lead.
Start the championship party now. Derby are on their way back. The Talksport network is your home of the EFL. Nobody does EFL better than Talksport.
Good evening, I'm Adrian Durham. It's so good to be back. In fact, I've literally been dreaming about this moment. I had a dream the new season launch was in Paris. They'd renamed the Eiffel Tower the EFL Tower as part of the whole thing. Paris Saint-Germain had joined League 2. Tom Daley was playing for Plymouth. The lack of football's been getting to me, and I think it's proof I've been listening to a huge amount of the excellent Olympics coverage on Talksport and Talksport 2 this summer. Imagine my surprise when I woke up and realised I was coming to Chesterfield and not the French capital. No Eiffel Tower, but they do have a magnificent crooked spire on St Mary's Church in the middle of Chesterfield, though. Hence the club nicknamed the Spirites. Delighted to be here for Talksport 2 tonight as Paul Cook's side, after cruising the National League, take on Swindon under yet another new manager, Swindon, the former Liverpool winger Mark Kennedy. I'm ecstatic to be back amongst it in the EFL. And make no mistake, this season on those Tuesday and Wednesday kickoff shows I'll be hosting from all kinds of places. Midweek next week it's Carabao Cup. I'm at Stockport Tuesday, then Leeds Wednesday. In this build-up hour tonight, we'll preview each division and hear from the likes of Scott Parker, Paul Warne and Chris Davis, the Birmingham manager. Stand by for that, and stand by for team news. 4 games in the EFL. They all kick off at 8 tonight. So our commentary first of all, Blackburn Derby at Ewood Park. Here's your commentator Adam Bridge.
Yeah, happy new season, Adrian. Happy new season, everyone. Welcome back to the Championship, and for Blackburn Rovers, it's a welcome back to last season's Golden Boot winner, 27 goals, Sammy Schmodix. Yep, he's still here. He's on the bench today for Rovers, despite not appearing in recent pre-season games, training on his own and being linked with that move to Ipswich. In fact, 7 who started the final game last season versus Leicester, they start tonight, along with the first start for Maktar Gay, one of their new signings up front. So it's pairs in goal, a familiar back four of Britton, Carter, Hyam and Pickering. Tronstad and Travis, who's returned from his mindless loan at Ipswich, will partner him in midfield, with Rankin Costello, Dolan and Hedges in behind Maktar Gay, who leads the line. New signings, Ohashi from Japan, Danny Bart and the experienced Andreas Weimann are amongst the substitutes. As for Derby, it's their first championship game after 2 seasons, and they feature 4 new signings for Paul Warne in his 100th game in charge. There's debuts for Ozo, the midfielder who's on loan from Palace, Dutchman Hoot Mine, Ben Osborne, who they picked up on a free from Sheffield United, and Caden Jackson, of course, who was at Ipswich last season. So it's Vickers in goal, a back four tonight of Wilson, Nelson, Cashin and Elder. Ozo will play that holding midfield role. The Dutchman Hoot Mine is alongside Osborne in midfield, and the 2 wide players, the ever dependable Tom Barkhuizen, Mendes Lang, who's been nominated for the League One's Player of the Season from last season, and leading the line up top, adding some pace to Paul Warne's side, is Caden Jackson.
Adam, thanks very much. We'll head back to Ewood Park shortly, but the other game in the Championship tonight, not too far from Ewood, is at Deepdale. Preston take on Derby County. Here's Natalie Pike.
And it is a beautiful evening here at Deepdale as Preston welcome a much changed Sheffield United side who will be looking to make a positive start as they bid for an immediate return to the Premier League. North End will be aiming for more consistency this season after starting incredibly well and finishing shockingly bad. They lost their last 5 games of the season and aggregate 11-0. Ryan Lowe's made 3 major signings so far this summer, with Greenwood and Tordarson starting tonight. Kesley Hayden, who was brought in this week on loan from Villa, he makes the bench. Also good news for the Preston North End fans, Freddie Woodman recovers from illness and he starts in goal tonight. For the Blades, well, over a dozen first-team members of last season's squad have departed, while 7 fresh faces have arrived for Chris Wilder so far. And Gilchrist, who's coming on loan this week from Chelsea, makes the starting 11, as does Kiefer Moore, of course, who did so well for Ipswich last season. He's come in from Bournemouth, and Burrows also makes the starting 11. Harry Souttar, who they got from Leicester on loan this week, he's on the bench. It's Preston North End versus Sheffield United.
Got one game in League One tonight. It's at Oakwell, where Barnsley take on newly promoted Mansfield Town. Here's Adrian Clark.
On their return to the third tier after a 21-year absence, Mansfield Town face one of their own at Oakwell this evening in the form of Darryl Clark, who takes charge of his first match as Barnsley head coach against his former hometown club. In a 3-5-2, it's Killip in goal behind Javini, Roberts and Earl. Across midfield, it's O'Keefe, Connell, Craig, Phillips and Gent, with Waters and Cosgrove up front. For Mansfield Town, Pym in goal, Bowery, Flint, debutants Oshilaja and Blake Tracy. In the diamond midfield, it'll be Reed, Bacchus, Quinn and Davis Keylor-Dunn, who's been heavily linked with a move to Barnsley in recent days. And up front, it's the experienced pair of Akins and Gregory. It's Barnsley against Mansfield Town from Oakwell.
And back here, it's Chesterfield against Swindon. Alongside me for the evening, Alan Biggs.
Well, Chesterfield have 7 new players, but that's not the reason they're confident of a double bounce from non-league to League One. The reason is continuity, that most of last season's National League title squad remains, that Paul Cook remains manager, that they're backed by wealthy local businessmen, emphasis on local, with hearts in the club. Cook goes with only 3 of the new men, Shay Dunkley, Devon Tanton and Lewis Gordon. The rest of the starting 11 were all here last season, although there are 3 recruits on the bench, Akinola, Drummond and Daly Campbell. Swindon under new manager Mark Kennedy have no fewer than 6 signings starting tonight. Will Wright, Grant Hall, Rosaire Longello, Harry Smith, Ollie Clark and Joel Cotterill. They also have 2 former Chesterfield players in the starting 11, Miguel Freckleton and Jeff King, at a very excited SMH Group Stadium. Chesterfield versus Swindon Town.
Yeah, it's a beautiful summer's evening as well. What a way to start the EFL season. Olympics is on Talksport right now. That's why we're on Talksport 2. And by the way, the men's Olympic football final, which is ongoing right now, has actually finished after 98 minutes, 3-3. Spain were 3-1 up with 11 minutes of the 90 left. Palace's JP Mateta scored a penalty in the 93rd minute to bring it level. They are currently in extra time. France 3, Spain 3. As I say, Olympics is on Talksport. So here on Talksport 2, it's the EFL. Let's go back to Ewood Park. Adam Bridge is there. The former Liverpool women's striker Courtney Sweetman-Kirk is there as well. Happy new season. Courtney, how you doing?
I'm very well. I'm so happy that football's back. I mean, I have been watching the Olympics and I've hardly moved off the sofa. I won't lie, I've been watching and listening to that, but I'm very, very happy to be in a stadium and watch some live football.
What I will say is, I do follow you on Instagram. You have moved from the sofa. You're doing far too much exercise for somebody who's retired from football. But we'll move on. Sammy Smodics on the bench. I mean, it's hard to believe he is still at Blackburn Rovers. This has been ongoing all summer. He's meant to be going to Ipswich Town. They've been talking for weeks about a move. How can a move not have been finalised by now?
I'm not sure. I think obviously between both clubs, whether it be the fee that's something that's stopping the movement, but I think for both sides now, especially for Blackburn, I think they just need to get it done. They need to know where they're at. In terms of the window being open through the season, I think it's always a bit of a strange one, and I think especially players and managers and clubs would rather that window almost shut as soon as the season starts, because I think it would make life a lot easier for everybody else. But yeah, for everyone involved, for both clubs, for the players, I think they just need it sorted now so everyone knows where they're at. Is it the fee? I think the only thing with Schmodics is he had a fantastic season last season. I think there's a lot of noise been around him in terms of, is that a one-off? And I think maybe that could be a stumbling block, because for me, I do think it is a bit of a risk to pay big money for him, because he's not quite had that consistency in front of goal, season after season.
especially if it's Ipswich and they are going to take him into the Premier League. Understand exactly what you're saying. But in terms of John Eustace, the manager, he's come out and said he wants it done as quick as possible because it doesn't help him. And if there is money to be coming his way, he'll want to share of that as well, with time running out. A month left in the window, well, less than a month.
Yeah, and that's so important, isn't it? Because there's, it's invariable, regardless of, of what I've just said in terms of his consistency, is obviously a massive player to lose. So you're right in terms of getting that fee and being able to repurpose it, get more players in. That's really important for the manager. So I would imagine that he's probably one of the most frustrated. Him and Sammy himself will be the two most frustrated people at this point that it hasn't been sorted.
I was told today, Adrian, actually, that if they reach double figures, the deal would probably get done. But they are a little bit shy of that as things stand.
What do you mean? 10 million or?
Yep. Right. 10 is the figure that Blackburn Rovers are kind of looking for. Ipswich came in at 6 and they've gone up in fairly small increments because, like Courtney says, there's probably a lack of confidence that he can do that again this season in the Premier League.
So there's a possibility he could actually stay at Blackburn. So Courtney, tell me from the player's point of view, how's he feeling right now? Because he played for my club, Peterborough. I can tell you for certain, I know 100% first-hand, Sammy Smodics, as you might expect, wants to play in the Premier League. So where's his head at right now?
Yeah, of course, and it will be totally with that, the focus, the drive and the determination as a player to do the best for yourself. And I think it's all really difficult, especially when you feel that a move is being blocked by the club, when there's another club that obviously want you, and especially going up to the Premier League. It's everyone's dream, isn't it, to play at as high as level as possible, and the Premier League obviously in the men's game is the top of the top around the world. So the fact that he feels that might be being blocked by the club, I think he will be a little bit miffed, to say the least, at this moment in time. And if it then, that begs the question in terms of Blackburn. I understand that they want to maximise their value for him, but equally, do you want a player at the club that doesn't really want to be there for a season? Yes, he's a professional, and that isn't against Sammy, because I'm sure if he was to stay, that he will put everything into being a Blackburn player. But there's always that little thing. I've had it myself where you feel a move's been blocked by the club, and it's a hard situation to be in.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. Let's focus on their opponents. Derby County are back in the Championship after 2 years at League One level. Yet another promotion then to the second tier for their manager, Paul Warne.
I mean, a lot of the attributes we had as a team, you're going to need at any level. So you still need to be very good on set pieces, defending and attacking. You have to be very well coached and organised out of possession. You have to be very good on the transitions and the counter, which, for example, at the moment we seem to have a lot of pace at the top end of the pitch, which helps. And of all the non-negotiables, as always, as every team will have, but you've got to stay with your runner, you have to be touch tight on throw-ins, all them little ugly things which aren't fun to coach. They're the things that take a rubbish team to a good team, or a good team to a great team, or a great team to an excellent team. You just have to be really good on the things that you can control. Look, if someone bends one in from 30 yards, an absolute screamer, there's not much you can really change on that. I mean, some clever person would say, you should have closed him down or something, but generally speaking, there is class things that happen in football matches that are very difficult to stop, but the ones you can control, you just have to be really good at. And last year we were really good at the controllables, so hopefully we can be a level up similar.
What we're guaranteed with Paul Warne is some great interviews. He talks so well, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, and he's got to talk well to his Derby team as well, because the step up League One to Championship, you can do in Ipswich, or you can do what Peterborough do every time and go basically straight back down. You have to get it right, and I think a good start is crucial for Derby after promotion. Yeah,
it is, and totally agree in your sentiments as well with Paul Warne, the way that he comes across, and when he's dealing with us in the media as well, I think he's always very open as much as you can be in that position, and talks a lot of sense, and that communication is so important. Obviously communicating with his players and telling them what he wants to see from them, and I think in terms of Derby County, you sort of know what you get from them under Paul Warne or any Paul Warne side. So the start, I think, is the crucial thing. The last thing you want to do is come up to a league above to have a rough start, maybe 10 games in and don't get a win. That is the worst case scenario. So I think coming to Blackburn, knowing where they finished last season, 19th, I believe they'll feel that coming here is probably one of the better starts they could have. Obviously they'd rather be at home at Pride Park, but in terms of facing the type of team that they're going to face in the Championship, I think Blackburn Rovers is probably one of the better starts on paper.
Yeah, especially given the turmoil with last season's top scorer, who's on the bench tonight, Sammy Smodics. We are at all 4 EFL games this evening, with commentary coming up, a Blackburn derby here on Talksport 2. The EFL is back, and boy have we missed it. We've got 4 games ongoing tonight. They all kick off at 8 o'clock. Let's go round the grounds, remind you of the team news. First of all, our commentary on Talksport 2 tonight at Ewood Park. Blackburn take on Derby County. Here's Adam Bridge.
The Championship's leading goal scorer from last season, Sammy Smodics, is amongst the substitutes for Rovers tonight, who start with pairs in goal. Britton, Carter, Hyam and Pickering across the back. It's Tronstad and Travis, the 2 holding midfielders, with Rankin, Costello, Dolan and Hedges providing the support to new striker Maktar Gay, who is up top for Rovers tonight. Smodics amongst the substitutes, along with other new signings, Andy Vyman and the experienced Danny Bart. As for Derby County, 4 new faces for Paul Warne in his starting 11 tonight. Josh Vickers is in goal. It's a back 4 of Wilson, Nelson, Cashin and Elder. 3 central midfielders are Ozo, Hootmine and Osborne, with the front 3 Barkhazen, Jackson and Mendez-Lang.
And if you're wondering about Smodics, he's not really featured in pre-season, not really trained too much, and been heavily linked with a move to Ipswich Town, which we were discussing earlier. And League 2 is getting off to a flyer here at Chesterfield. Huge noise in this stadium as the 2 teams come out. We're going to keep you updated with this one, the game at Oakwell in League 1 as well, the game at Preston in the Championship. Live football, it's what we do best on Talksport. The first of up to 150 live exclusive EFL commentaries is about to kick off, and only one national radio station takes the EFL seriously, and that's this one. So download the Talksport app, get yourself easy access to Talksport and Talksport 2, and listen to more live football than you're going to get anywhere else. Starting tonight in the Championship as Blackburn take on newly promoted Derby. Commentary on Talksport 2 from former Sheffield United striker Courtney Sweetman-Kirk alongside Adam Bridge.
Good evening everyone, welcome to Ewood Park. It was just 97 days ago that Blackburn secured their Championship status with a final day win at champions Leicester. In fact, their final 2 wins of the season were at the King Power and at Leeds. They don't do things by halves round here. It was their lowest league finish since 2018, and surprising given after 21 games they were sat 8th in the table. But this is a club that's hamstrung financially, but as John Eustace proved when he came in February, they are tough to beat, if not easy on the eye. Derby, meanwhile, only spent 2 seasons in the League One wilderness before their record-breaking Championship return. Paul Warne, who is the yo-yo king, having been promoted 4 times and relegated 3 times from the Championship, will aim to prove this time he's here to stay. With a goalkeeper and a striker still needed, the season isn't starting as Warne would want, but there's never a dull moment when he's around, and undoubtedly his Rams side will want to entertain. 4,000 have braved Friday on the M6 to make the journey from Derby. Now that is dedication. So here we go, the EFL is back on the Talksport network. It's bigger and better than ever before, and what better way to start than the noise of Ewood Park. And boy is it noisy tonight. Let's run you through the 2 teams. Blackburn Rovers line up with pairs in goal. It's Britton, Carter, Hyam and Pickering. They are the back 4. Tronstad and Travis in central midfield, with Rankin Costello on the right, Hedges on the left. He's overcome a late injury scare from a knock he picked up in a friendly last weekend. And Tyrese Dolan will play in that number 10 role, and the line will be led by Maktar Gay, who they picked up throughout the summer. He only cost him probably about £1.5 million, we believe. Molenbeek is where he was playing last season, where he scored 11 goals and picked up a couple of red cards as well. Amongst the substitutes for Blackburn Rovers, of course, it's the Championship's leading goal scorer from last season, Sammy Smodics. It's a situation that the club don't want to continue for much longer. Does he stay? Does he go? Will Ipswich pay the money, or maybe somebody else will take a chance on the man who scored 27 Championship goals last season? Alongside him on the bench, though, is Joe Hilton, Arne Sigurdsson, Andy Vyman, of course, who was in action at the Euros for Austria, Danny Bart, another late free signing for them, Dylan Markande, John Buckley, Yuki Ohashi, the Japanese forward who's joined in the summer, and Jack Vale as well, complete the bench for Blackburn Rovers. As for Derby County, Josh Vickers is their only senior goalkeeper. He is in goal. They do expect to sign Zetterstrom. He's potentially coming in from Tujardens in Sweden. That's a deal that's about worth £1.4 million, but is yet to be completed. The back 4 today, Wilson, Nelson, Cashin and Elder, with Ozo, Hootmine and Osborne in midfield. Barkhuizen, Jackson and Mendes-Lang will lead the line. Luthra is the substitute keeper alongside Forsyth, Bradley, Collins, Thompson, Forner, Nyambi, Adams and Brown on the bench for Paul Warne. It's his 100th game in charge of Derby County. John Eustace, of course, was flying at the start of last season when he was in charge of Birmingham City. A lot to prove for both as we get underway with the traditional blue and white half shirts of Blackburn Rovers kicking from left to right here in the opening 45 minutes. They're on the attack straight away. Derby are playing in their third kit today, which is a golden kit, and they're playing in that as well this season as their third kit to mark 50 years since they lifted the First Division title under the late great Dave Mackay. They've got defending to do here early on because Blackburn have made a bright start. Tyrese Dolan towards the edge of the penalty area, gets it to Gay, out towards Hedges on that left-hand side, and it's a throw for Blackburn Rovers on that left far touchline. Alongside me, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Cracking atmosphere in here and a really energetic start to the game.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, and that's what you want as a player. You know, you wait all pre-season, all the running that you have to do. It's the same with the fans. They're going to be waiting all of pre-season, starved of that football. They're obviously buzzing to be back and really impressed with the start that Blackburn have made.
Yeah, very much on the front foot. They haven't won a game here in the Championship since February, so not yet won here under John Eustace. In fact, the record towards the end of last season was dreadful, and Mendes-Lang's having to do some desperate defending inside the Derby penalty area just to try and keep that ball clear. It's a really good start down that left-hand side. Hedges as well this time, and his right foot cuts the ball over. It's headed away from inside the penalty area, that time by Osborne, who was let go by Sheffield United at the end of the season, and is a really good acquisition for Derby County youth for them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just watching them now, though. They really are on the back foot, Derby County. I don't know whether it's taken them by surprise. First game of the season as well. It takes a little bit, to get into it. Yes, you play your friendlies, you're doing all the training, but that match atmosphere, that match pace is completely something different. But now they look like going forward with Mendes-Lang.
Yeah, they do have the pace in Mendes-Lang and Caden Jackson, of course, who left Ipswich in the summer, but they lost possession midway inside the Blackburn Rovers half, and Rovers through Dolan will come forward down the right hand side onto Callum Britton, who's midway inside the Derby County half, and he's won a free kick there, Dolan. The challenge coming in from David Ozo, who's on loan from Crystal Palace, the 19-year-old central midfielder. Joined Palace at the age of 8, has got 9 Premier League substitute appearances to his name, but he'll spend the season at Pride Park and defending to do here, and this is a real first test for them.
Yeah, it is, and I like Tyrese Dolan in that number 10 role, by the way. He's played all across that forward line really, but I like the pockets that he picks up, and it shows it well there.
Britain's ball in towards the back post is headed goalwards around the back by Dominic Hyam, who had arrived with a free header at the edge of the 6-yard box, but he puts it wide of the right hand post of Josh Vickers away to our right hand side. We've seen Dolan play in many different positions, haven't we? But just talking to some of the people around the club earlier this week, and they were saying he's the first into training, he's the last out of training, and he is desperate for this to be his season.
And I think especially if Schmodix leaves as well, I think it's a real moment for him to step up. As you say, he's paid his dues really in terms of playing across all that forward line, trying to sort of find a home where he feels most comfortable. But as I mentioned, I love the pockets that he picks up in that number 10 role, and he's always so positive. He's always on the half turn, trying to face forward, trying to take players on and be a handful basically, which we've seen already early on. And it's just, I think for me, it's his finishing. That's where he really needs to improve, and if he can do that, he's going to be a handful this season.
And he managed 5 goals and 4 assists in the Championship last season. That was his best Championship return of his career for the former Preston man. He's still only 22 years of age as well. Blackburn Rovers on the attack again, 10-15 yards inside the Derby County half. Back inside to Lewis Travis, of course, who was helping Ipswich to promotion at the end of last season, but the Blackburn captain is back in his traditional blue and white halves and is making an impact in that midfield already. And we've only been playing for 4 minutes on Talksport 2, your home of the EFL, where it's Blackburn Rovers 0, Derby County 0. The first of so many games to bring you throughout this new EFL season. Friday night in August, the sun's been out, wonderful atmosphere, and it's Blackburn Rovers who are very much starting on the front foot here. with Hyam going out wide to that left-hand side. Pickering tries to slip a ball down that left-hand side channel. It comes back to Vickers, who'll clear from the edge of his own 6-yard box. Gets it up as far that time as Mendez-Lang. Surely there's a foul inside the centre circle. Referee's going to play the advantage. It's Mendez-Lang down this left-hand side now with a chance to attack. And he's been nominated for the League One Player of the Season last season, and no surprise, he's got support there from Callum Elder. Back to Ben Osborne off the angle of the penalty area. Here's Mendez-Lang again. Lovely work to Osborne inside the box, and a chance of a flick there from Caden Jackson around the penalty spot. Just tried to flick the ball goalwards. Would have been very clever, but safely into the arms of Ainsley Pears.
Yeah, and all credit to the referee, Josh Smith. I think he played the advantage really well there. Mendez-Lang takes his time down that left-hand side, and then there's a bit really quick, intricate 1 and 2 touch passing between himself, Osborne and Jackson. He just can't quite generate the power, Jackson, with the little almost Cruyff flick behind himself, but passage of play that was really good from Derby County, but pretty much the only thing that we've seen from them so far, because they've been out of possession for most of the starting minutes.
No goals in our other games, which all kicked off at 8 o'clock this evening as well. Preston against Sheffield United, Barnsley against Mansfield, and Chesterfield versus Swindon. We'll keep you up to date with those games as we go through the commentary here from Ewood Park, where it remains Blackburn Rovers 0, Derby County 0. Plenty of noise being made by those travelling Rams supporters away to our right hand side in the Brian Douglas Darwin end. Now that's slipped inside the penalty area again with a chance at the edge of the 6-yard box, right hand side, and almost made his mark on his first start in the Championship for Blackburn Rovers, but he's put his shot just wide.
Yeah, and it's one of those as a centre forward. I think he timed his run extremely well, by the way, initially, but for me it was always that sort of last thing to come, that real sharpness in front of goal, and that just takes a little bit of time. But I like the run on the blind side, down the side of the box, takes it early as well. Vickers does well, in all fairness to him, in terms of how quickly he rushes out his positioning, but Gay there, really, he's got to be hitting the target. But really positive start from Rovers.
Third Senegalese player to pull on the Blackburn Rovers shirt, and he almost got off to the absolute perfect start there inside the first 6 minutes of this game. It was a goal kick for Derby that's gone straight into touch, not the first of those so far. They're just not able to get the foot on the ball at all in the opening exchanges of this game, and it's such a positive start. And I'm guessing one of the things Paul Warne would have said, look, this lot haven't won at home for months, put them under the pump early on.
Yeah, exactly, but I suppose when you look at it the other way round, Eustace will be saying, look, that's done now, we've had the break, we've had the summer, and go out, fresh start, show the fans what they can expect this season. I like the way that, whether it be Travis or Tronstad, they're dropping in a little bit. That's allowing Hyam and Carter as well as a 3, just to keep it quite secure. Pickering and Britton are getting really high, so they're overloading Derby County. It's really aggressive start by Blackburn Rovers.
John used to spend a couple of seasons at Derby County, 62 appearances, 3 goals in 2 spells as a player. Of course, he had such a terrific start last season before being sacked by Birmingham City when they were 6th in the Championship. Didn't win any of his first 10 games in charge of Blackburn Rovers. The first Blackburn manager that's managed that. First chance here for Derby to get forward down the right with Kane Wilson, the right fullback. More often than not, he tends to play as a wing-back, but he's right fullback today, and his pass is just overhit and too far in front of Barkhazen, and away to our left-hand side. The ball goes out for what will be a goal kick for Blackburn Rovers.
And that's the last thing you want as Derby County. You're spending so much of your time already out of possession. Win the ball back and give it away so quick. They've got to be better at keeping possession of the ball.
That's the voice of Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, the former Sheffield United striker, of course, who's alongside us here on Talksport 2 this evening as we wait for Blackburn on the attack down that left-hand side now in the centre circle. Right footed ball clipped forward that time by Travis out to this right-hand side. Lovely little knock-on by Britton into the edge of the penalty area, but it's going to be half cleared by Derby, and we'll get a quick update at Oakwell. Barnsley against Mansfield. Adrian Clark.
It's still Barnsley 0, Mansfield Town 0, but we just had a goal disallowed for the Stags. The visitors have started really brightly. It was a beautiful curler, left-footed from Keanu Bacchus, but there were 2 or 3 players standing in front of the keeper in an offside position, so it was disallowed. It remains goalless here. Barnsley 0, Mansfield 0.
Nigel Clough's newly promoted Mansfield trying to make an impact early on then at Oakwell. We'll head round our other games shortly as well, but Blackburn on the attack once more here with Hedges down the left-hand side. He was trying to advance. He was closed down quite quickly that time by David Ozo in the centre of the Derby midfield, and it's back this time with Hayden Carter, and Carter pings a lovely ball out wide to that left-hand side. Pickering's on the attack, early left-footed ball into the box, but it's quite comfortably into the arms of Josh Vickers away to our right-hand side. We've had almost 10 minutes. You're listening to Talksport 2, your home of the EFL, and it remains Blackburn Rovers 0, Derby County 0. And just to make you aware as well, the Championship match officials throughout the weekend all wearing black armbands over this opening weekend in memory of the much respected and greatly missed coach Gary Willard, who sadly passed away in late May after a period of illness with leukemia. Our thoughts with his family, of course, and a lovely gesture from the match officials throughout the Championship this weekend. Blackburn Rovers in possession again, away to our left-hand side, and they're having plenty of it. Not pressing too high at the moment. Mendes Lang and Caden Jackson as well. But it looks actually like Barkhausen's kind of more tucked into a more central position rather than wide. So they are trying to keep it compact, Derby, aren't they?
Yeah, they are failing with it miserably, to be quite honest, and that's a foul that was easy for the referee to give a caution there from behind. Doesn't get any of the ball, and Barkhausen sees himself in the book.
And there he does. Early doors for Tom Barkhausen. He scored 4 goals as a sub last season. He wasn't too much of a regular starter in League One. He was making plenty of impact from the bench. Josh Smith immediately into his pocket for the first yellow card. Well, I would say the season, but there may have been one elsewhere, but certainly here in the Championship at Ewood Park. 11.5 minutes played. It still remains 0-0, but still Blackburn Rovers with plenty of possession. Up towards Gay on that far side. Holds the ball up nicely, and then there's a foul on that far side, this time on Tyree Stone, and had followed him out to try and help out and work something down that left-hand touchline. That'll be a free kick again for Blackburn Rovers. This time it's right on the far touchline, about 25 yards out from goal.
Yeah, it was really nice by Dolan. There was a little nutmeg in there, but I think that relationship I've seen so far between himself and Gay, that between the 9 and 10, it's so important. They're working on opposites, and yeah, early on in this game, obviously in the season and their careers as a pairing, I think it's really positive signs. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Derby conceded just 8 goals from set pieces last season. Of course, that was in League One. They've got defending to do here now, as that one's headed up, and Vickers will come and gather that at the edge of his 6-yard box quite comfortably. We have our first Championship goal. That's at Deepdale. Preston against Sheffield United. Natalie Pike.
Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1, and it's the first goal of the season for Oliver Arblaster, one of the standout players from last season. A lovely worked goal. Andre Brooks with the assist, Arblaster with the shot, and it took, honestly, a wicked deflection. It sent Freddie Woodman the wrong way and into the back of the net. These Sheffield United fans are going wild. It's Preston North End 1, Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1.
Chris Wilder murking his Sheffield United magic, and a nod of the head next to me from Courtney Sweetman-Kirk about Arblaster's goal. Here come Blackburn Rovers on the attack wide down that left-hand side again. The early ball looking to be delivered in from that left-hand side by Pickering, and now the counter potentially on here for Derby County. The delivery of the ball into the box was so poor, and it's allowed those golden shirts a chance to foray forward, but having got as far as halfway, they've checked their advancement and got back towards the edge of the penalty. Are you approving of that Sheffield United goal?
Yeah, and just Arblaster as well. I think he's been such a vital player, even at his young age. The fact they've kept hold of him, obviously young Will Asula has gone to Newcastle, so I think it was really important that they held on to Arblaster.
The goal in League One at Oakwell for Adrian Clark.
Barnsley 0, Mansfield Town 1. It was coming. They've been all over the home side here, and what a goal it was. It was a corner drilled towards the far post, and Stephen Quinn, the veteran Irishman, has lashed it. He chests it up and then he lashes it into the back of the net from outside the box. An absolute scorcher. Barnsley 0, Mansfield 1.
What a start for Mansfield. 14 minutes played here. We could do with a goal at Ewood Park, where it remains Blackburn Rovers 0, Derby County 0, but Derby just having their little first piece of possession with the ball, and it's Erin Cashin who just let that slip under his foot and had to backtrack inside his own half to gather possession up for Derby County. So the goals flying in everywhere. We will check in a moment the game between Chesterfield and Swindon when we get a break in play here at Ewood Park, and then we'll have been around all of our other games early doors here on Talksport 2. Decent run down that right-hand side that time, and ball slipped into the box. Here's a chance for Jackson. Cuts it back, edge of the penalty area, right-footed shot. Oh, and he scuffed it wide. What an opportunity for Kane Wilson, but the offside flag was up anyway.
Yeah, Jackson, the run, you see, went far too early. There was daylight between him and the defender. Very similar run actually to the one that Gay made, but just didn't time it quite as well.
Chesterfield are back in the Football League, and there's a goal for Alan Biggs.
Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0. It's Chesterfield's first goal in the Football League for 6 years. The goal scorer, Armando Dobra, from a tight angle after Will Griggs' effort had been parried by the keeper. Dobra the scorer. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0.
Goals everywhere but here at Ewood Park so far this evening then, with 15 minutes played. Sheffield United leading at Preston, Mansfield leading at Barnsley, and Chesterfield now in front against Swindon on their return to the Football League. Good football here from Derby for a moment on their return to the Championship, but dispossessed that time in the middle of the park by Hedges, who lifts the ball out wide to this right-hand side trying to find Dolan, but it was a comfortable header by Cashin, and then good work by Mendes Lang, who's doing an awful lot of tracking back in the opening exchanges of this game, and Derby have possession. And I mean, if you're Paul Warne, you've weathered that early storm, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think that's important when it's like that. You don't concede, you do everything that you can to make sure you don't concede. They're coming back into the game now. You mentioned it at the start of the game, how difficult Blackburn Rovers can be to break down, and you see that now in a defensive shape. It's very much a 4-4-2 out of possession, and Derby now, they're just working their way into the game, and that's a wonderful crossfield, but I thought it was. It deceived me. Initially looked better than it was, but yeah, Derby, they've just got to work themselves into the game, and we know in that final third, when they move the ball quickly, they can cause problems.
Now that time on Kenzo Houtmijn, who's the new Dutch midfielder picked up from AZ Alkmaar by Derby County. The challenge that time from Ryan Hedges was perhaps a little bit too robust, and it's penalised by our referee Josh Smith. It's a free kick for Derby then, just inside the Blackburn Rovers half. Don't forget, we've got more Championship action for you tomorrow lunchtime. Leeds against Portsmouth. Pompey back in the Championship as well. That's live on Talksport, 12:30. The game kicks off tomorrow. Our coverage underway from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's followed by the Community Shield as well on Talksport. Derby lift that one into the penalty area, and it's going to be a goal kick, because I think the initial header that time coming from Cashin, and it's out of play. And it'll be a chance away to our left-hand side for Ainsley Pears and Blackburn Rovers to try and build something again. So it's Man City against Manchester United tomorrow afternoon in the Community Shield. More Championship action for you on Sunday. Sheffield Wednesday against Plymouth. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff on Talksport. And then on Monday night, it's Luton against Burnley. Two of the relegated sides go toe-to-toe right here on Talksport 2. And again, that's an 8 o'clock kickoff on Monday night. We've been playing for 17 and a half minutes. You're listening to Talksport 2, your home of the EFL. It's Blackburn Rovers 0. It's Derby 0. Elsewhere in the big games, it's Preston 0, Sheffield United 1, Barnsley 0, Mansfield 1, and Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0. We'll keep you up to date with those games, and we'll go round the grounds throughout this first half of this new EFL season. And what a start it is for those three sides. They've already found the back of the net, and Blackburn now just trying to reassert the early authority they had here at Ewood Park.
Yeah, and I think you know as well that the tempo of the game's changed. It was so frenetic early on, but you can't keep that up for 90 minutes. So a bit impressed with Blackburn though, in terms of now they're happy to play out from the back. They're also happy to go a little bit more direct. There was a moment probably about 5 minutes ago where Derby went man for man in the high press, and they passed that press extremely well and went direct, Blackburn. So they're showing that they can mix it up, and it's horses for courses.
7 of these players who are starting tonight for Blackburn Rovers started that game at the end of last season against Leicester, of course, which secured their future. Here come Blackburn charging forward now. Gay's made the run, but he has gone into an offside position. Traverslow can give it out to this right-hand side. Britton now slips it into Gay. Tight angle for him. Cuts it across the box. Dolan! And he opens his account for Blackburn Rovers for the season. And we get the backflips too from Tyrese Dolan. It's the easiest of finishes from about 8 yards out. Brilliant work by Britton, and Gay pulled the ball back across. It deflected to his foot, and he finished quite comfortably from just outside the 6-yard box. It's an emphatic finish for Tyrese Dolan, who wants to make his mark this season, and boy has he made the perfect start. It's Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 0.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this goal from the build-up, sort of up, back and through, so the long ball in, there's a set in there, Travis then running with the ball, does really well in terms of finding Britton. Again, Gay resets his run, so you're right, initially he goes a bit early, but then he comes back down the side of the box, gets the ball across, and yes, 7 yards out. It looks like an easy finish, but actually he's a little bit behind Dolan. He's got to reshuffle, make sure that he gets himself over the ball, because when you're travelling backwards like that, it's so easy for the ball to fly over the bar, but keeps it down well enough, and the celebration's not bad. Seeing that Olympics gymnastics, I think he's been watching that like I have.
Certainly has. Very impressive from Tyrese Dolan, and another goal at Oakwell. It might be for the impressive Mansfield Adrian Clark.
It is Barnsley 0, Mansfield Town 2. They are absolutely flying, Nigel Clough's side. This time it's Barry that goes down the right, whips a beautiful ball into the near post, and it's Lee Gregory on his second debut for the Stags, heading home from close range. It is all Mansfield. Barnsley 0, Mansfield 2.
Terrific start for Nigel Clough's side then. Here at Ewood Park, Rovers 1, Derby County 0, 20 minutes played. A reminder, it's Preston who currently trails Sheffield United at Deepdale by a goal to 0, and Chesterfield who are in front against Swindon at the SMH Group Stadium on Chesterfield's return back to the Football League. So all the pressure now on Paul Wall and his back room in terms of how they try and respond to this, because this has lit up Ewood Park, obviously.
Yeah, and rightly so. It wasn't just about the goal, the whole passage of play itself I liked a lot, moving the ball quickly, very deliberate with the movement, 1 and 2 touch, and finding their way back to front to the goal. So it was a lovely looking goal from back to front, and Derby, except for, I think it was in the first 5 minutes down this left hand side, Mendes, Lang, Osborne and Jackson, really little cute piece of play around the box. Aside from that, Derby County haven't offered too much, and now they're a goal down. Something's got to change.
Well, the other thing about Tyrese Dolan wanting to impress this season, he's out of contract come next summer, so it's quite important for him to deliver, to earn himself a new deal, you would feel, or maybe a move elsewhere, who knows. It's Dom Hyam who's got some defending to do, and he's not doing very well. Bark Hazen gets it back to Mendes, Lang deflected over the top at a corner for Derby, their first of the game.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity from them. They work the ball forward well down the right hand side, and luckily from a Blackburn Rovers perspective that goes out for a corner, because deflections like that can go absolutely anywhere. Pears was slightly off his line, and how many times have you seen them sort of bobble over the goalkeeper, but now they've got a corner to defend.
They have a bit of delay as to who's going over to take this one. I think it will be Ben Osborne with his left foot to swing this in. Mendes Lang has stayed short as an option for Derby County on that far side. They're in front of the Ronnie Clayton Blackburn end as it's swung over towards that back post, and it was just too much on it. It does find the head in the end of Kane Wilson, but just all he can do is just poke it out of play. And I think there's a bit of moaning there from Ainsley Pears about the treatment he was getting inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, and also I'd be a little bit worried. Yes, it comes to nothing in the end, but the way Wilson just comes off on the back shoulder there, if that ball's better, he's all on his own in the edge of that 6-yard box. So Blackburn Rovers need to make sure they're picking up the players better than that.
Just beyond the midway point here at Ewood Park, Rovers leading Derby by a goal to 0. What's happening at Deepdale, Natalie Pike?
Still Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1. That 13th minute goal for Oliver Arblaston separating the teams. He of course is a boyhood Sheffield United fan, and that was his first senior goal for the club that he supports. Following that, the Sheffield United fans did a very nice chant of top of the league. Hey, if you are after 12 minutes, you're welcome to sing it. It's still Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1.
Corner here for Blackburn Rovers. Good work by Rankin, Costello and Pickering on that left hand side to give themselves again another opportunity. And they clearly, well, both arms are up in the air. They must have a worked routine here, you feel, Blackburn Rovers. They've had all pre-season to be busy at it, and immediately there are 4 Blackburn Rovers shirts who've all gone to the back edge of the 6-yard box. It's down that left hand side for Blackburn Rovers, so they're clearly going to be charging forward here, one would assume, but the referee wants to have a word, I think, first of all here. Not happy with some of the pushing and shoving. Hoopmine is the player that's being spoken to. He's got the job of marking Tyrese Dolan, I think, and they're all in a little circle around the back of this 6-yard box. Let's see what they've been working on and see if there's anything that's going to come to fruition as they all go charging into that 6-yard area. And it's a header away in the end by Curtis Nelson, but it's back into the danger zone. Guy tries to turn and get a shot away, but it's cleared for Derby County, and there's a foot race on here, and it has to be well defended that time, and it is well defended on that occasion by Tronstad for Blackburn Rovers, who managed to get it away to Pears, who'll then launch a ball forward away to our right hand side. Must be quite frustrating when you've done all that work in pre-season and the first time you try it, nothing happens.
Well, the thing is, normally you're doing your set piece on a pose or there's mannequins in there, so you think, yeah, these set pieces are great, they're always going in the back of the net, and then next thing you know, defenders are in and they don't quite work the same way.
To be fair, I've mistaken a few defences for mannequins over the years, there's no doubt about that. 25 minutes played here. Rovers leading to Derby by a 1-0. Let's head off to League 2. Chesterfield against Swindon. Alan Biggs is watching.
Yeah, still Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0. It maybe should be 2-0 because quite mystifyingly the referee has denied claims for a penalty. Michael Jacobs appeared to be clearly tripped by Grant Hall. Look, no doubt about it, but he's not given it. Chesterfield are on top. They lead 1-0.
Reminder as well, Mansfield leading at Barnsley by 2-0 in the first half there as well. You're up to date with all the games we're following tonight here on Talksport 2, your home of the EFL. Plenty more action, of course, tomorrow with those staggered kick-off times throughout the day tomorrow. The Championship from 12:30, of course. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's League 2. And then League 1, of course, from 5:30. Follow all the action across the Talksport network. Plus the Olympics, of course, tomorrow. Day 15. Looks like the modern pentathlon is on tomorrow. And Courtney, you may be slightly better at this because you're younger and down with the kids than me. I thought it was breakdancing, but apparently it's called breaking.
Yeah, or I think street dancing as well, that's been said today. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure how you judge it. But that's what the Olympics is for, isn't it? Pretending that you know everything about every single sport and becoming an expert within 2 weeks.
Absolutely. We have got some experts though, and you can hear them tomorrow here on Talksport 2 from 10 o'clock, 8 hours of live coverage during the day, of course, ahead of the final night inside the Stade de France for the Athletics tomorrow evening here. That'll be on Talksport tomorrow evening, should I say. And Laura Muir will be going in the 1500 metres for Team GB. 27 minutes played. Rovers 1, Derby 0. On Talksport 2, on the attack now, Derby towards the edge of the penalty area. Right for the shot, takes a deflection and beyond Pears, when it was worth driving towards the box there for Tom Barkhazen. And he got the shot away, and as we said, deflections can go anywhere. This one's gone out for a corner.
Yeah, I think especially when you're struggling to get into the game and you're in that sort of range, why not take a shot on? Why not force the issue? It's another good opportunity for Derby County to get this delivery right this time, because the last corner from the opposite side of the pitch was poor.
Sammy Schmodix is warming up. That's what the crowd's going mad for, showing their appreciation for the leading scorer from the Championship last season, who's amongst the substitutes for Blackburn tonight. Here's the corner from this left-hand side. Mendes Lang is going to fire that towards the back post. Well, it was a routine that clearly him and Osborne have worked on. I assume it was for Mendes Lang to have a shot, because I don't think he'd hit across that powerfully. And it's out for what will be a goal kick to Blackburn Rovers away to our left-hand side.
No, initially it was worked really well, and you see what Mendes Lang is trying to do. He's trying to curl that in that top right-hand corner, almost start outside of the post and try and bring it back in, but gets it completely wrong.
9 goals and 16 assists last season. Only Jody Jones and Leif Davis made more assists in league football than Nathaniel Mendes Lang, who really come of age for Derby County last campaign. He's got the captain's armband on too for them this evening. But at the moment they've got defending to do, because Blackburn are on the attack down that left-hand side. Ball pumped forward towards Gay, who goes up to win the header. Forces the throw on that far side, the left-hand side, which Pickering will take short into the chest of Tyrese Dolan, who turns really nicely. Such quick feet for the scorer of Blackburn Rovers' goal, and in the end he just gives the ball back inside to Travis, who's on the run. Lewis Travis, brilliant. Finds Rankin Costello. He's got Britton outside him. Britton takes that ball on the run towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's well defended that time by cashing it away up this left-hand side. And it will be a throw to Blackburn Rovers 15 yards inside the Derby County half.
The width is something that's working really well for Blackburn Rovers so far. It doesn't matter which side it is, but because they can be a little bit different and mix it up. They can play through the thirds, or when you see like that, they're playing a little bit more direct. It catches Derby County off guard because they're trying to be really compact, but those wide areas for Blackburn are certainly a danger.
I mean, Lewis Travis so far in this game, it's extraordinary that it allowed him to go on loan to Ipswich last season. I just find it. I was talking to one of the press team downstairs earlier, and they are equally baffled by it still. But he's back where he belongs. He's captain in this Blackburn Rovers side, and he's been very impressive so far.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, his heat map already, dread to think in terms of he's been all over the pitch, and he brings so much energy. And probably what I think he's progressed with over the last few seasons, he's always had that energy and tenacity to win the ball back, and his positioning to win the ball back's always good, but then that end product as well has certainly improved, I think, in the last couple of seasons especially.
Half an hour gone, Rovers still leading by a goal to nil. That's a poor ball that time from the centre of midfield, played by Tronstad, and it's out of play. I'm actually doing him a disservice. It was Rankin Costello with that, and it's Derby who will have possession from the back. They've been tinkering around with formations in pre-season, Derby, and at large parts of last season they played with a 3 centre halves. Sonny Bradley, former Luton man, amongst the substitutes tonight, and he's made it clear that he's going to have to adapt this season to a formation. So at the moment he's gone with a 4 as Barkhuizen plays that ball across the penalty area, and it's taken down by Britton on this right hand side. He's trying to get it clear, but he's under pressure from Mendes Lang, and in the end plays it inside his own box. Comes to Ozo at the edge of the penalty area. Dolan's back doing some defending, but now a chance maybe to counter here if Gay can get himself onside, but the ball is taken off the toes of Hedges, but illegally according to the referee, and that will be a free kick for Blackburn Rovers inside their own half.
I think Gay's just having a little bit of a word with Hedges as well, because he could have played that ball earlier, because Gay initially makes a good run, is in his own half, so wouldn't have been offside. And if that ball gets played earlier, I would have fancied Gay in a foot race, because certainly got a good amount of pace about him, and been really impressed with his timing of his run so far.
It's interesting as well, prior to Sam Gallagher obviously left in the summer, the last number 9, out and out number 9 that Blackburn actually signed was Sam Gallagher quite some time ago. So Gay is it's like they've not had one of these for a while, number 9, who's running the line like that. Brilliant touch of skill from Gay, outside of the right foot, finds Britton edge of the box, who lays it back across towards Gay, and it's half cleared by Derby County. But again, that's clever play by Travis down this right hand side to keep possession for Blackburn Rovers. Midway inside the Derby County half, now in the centre circle it's Hyam to bring it forward for the home side, who lead by a goal to nil. Out wide on this right hand side from Tronstad, finds Britton again, back towards halfway and Carter, and they're happy to keep the ball and lose a little bit of momentum just to try and find the right moment, Blackburn Rovers. And it's with Hyam again to the left hand side to Pickering. The run's been made forward, picked up again this time by Gay, out wide to that left hand side. Here they come towards the edge of the penalty area. Good bit of defending that time from Kane Wilson, and they'll get it clear from inside their own box, Derby County, courtesy of Curtis Nelson, formerly of Blackpool of course. He was relegated from the Championship with Blackpool before making his move to Derby County. Another goal at Oakwell. Adrian Clark, what's going on?
It's all happening. Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2. The host ball one back through their new captain, Luca Connell. It took a big deflection, just dribbled past the goalkeeper. This came off the back of a shape change and a substitution with 20 minutes of the first half still left to play. The manager, Darryl Clark, ripped up plan A and went to plan B, and it looks like it's working. Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2.
Very impressive start there, but Barnsley now trying to fight back. As Adrian says, Darryl Clark, a very shrewd operator in charge of Barnsley now. Plenty of time to go in that game. 12 to go to half-time here at Ewood Park. Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 0. By this left-hand side, Derby will get it clear, and it's away this time by Callum Elder, the Australian. That's going to take a deflection and out of play, and it'll be a throw for Derby County midway inside their own half. Reminder elsewhere, Deepdale, it's Preston 0, Sheffield United 1. You just heard it's Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2, and it remains Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0 at the SMH Group Stadium for Paul Cook and his Chesterfield side on their return to league football. Adrian's there as well, so he'll be picking up the reins at half time for us, and that's what, in about 11 minutes time here at Ewood Park, where Derby are taking an awful long time over this throw, and it just bounces off Ozo, loses out to Rankin Costello. Here's Hedges from the edge of the box with a left-footed shot, about 22 yards out, and it was always high and wide and into the Derby fans away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, it was, but you can't blame him for taking it on. Gay does really well, drops in, wins the ball back, and that's the thing about Blackburn, I think, as well. They've been really combative, especially in the middle of the park. They're pouncing, whether it be a loose pass back or making sure they're getting their press spot on. They're doing really well, and then winning the ball back and then fight. It's not just about winning the ball back, because Derby have done that a couple of times, then they've given it away really quickly, but it's about winning the ball back, keeping possession and creating chances high up the pitch.
And Gay, I mean, that lovely bit of skill that Gay had moments earlier where you thought maybe he was going to think about a shot and taking the ball on, but very unselfishly passed the ball out wide to Britton again. Nothing came of it, but we're seeing some moments from the centre forward Maktar Gay. 35 appearances for Molenbeek last season. He, as I said, picked up a couple of red cards, but 11 goals as well throughout the season. He's signed on a 3-year deal with an option for a further year as well. So they mean business. They may not have much money to spend, but they've scoured around. And the sporting director here now is someone who was fairly familiar, Rudi Gested, former player, of course. Here's Mendes Lang down the left-hand side and a tight angle outside the box. Probably level with the 6-yard box. He's drilled a ball towards the near post, and it's easily gathered by Ainsley Pears. Let's get an update from Deepdale now. Preston against Sheffield United. Last time we were with Natalie Pike, Sheffield United were in front. Is that still the case, Natalie?
It certainly is. It's Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1. Preston North End's new signing Todd Hudson is standing out for them today. He's just played a lovely ball through for Emil Rees, whose shot was just too soft and it was easily saved and picked up by Adam Davies. Sheffield United just had a free kick from Gustav Hamer, but it went out to the left-hand side of the net. So it's still Preston 0, Sheffield United 1.
All going well for Sheffield United then on their return to the Championship so far. 9 minutes remaining or so in the first half. Derby County with possession deep inside their own half. Training here at Ewood Park against Blackburn Rovers by a 0-0 tie. Rhys Dolan, the man who put Blackburn Rovers in front and then demonstrated what he's learnt from watching the Olympics over the last couple of weeks with a wonderful tumble and backflip to celebrate his first goal of the season. Throw in on that far side again with Derby County. It's picked up this time deep inside his own half by Cashin. Up towards Mendes Lang. First touch was just so strong, it allowed time for Dolan to dive in and put the ball out of play on this near side. Let's get an update from the SMH Group Stadium then. Chesterfield against Swindon. Watching for Talksport 2 is Alan Biggs.
Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0, the home side well on top, but we've just seen the first threat of a goal from Swindon with Harry Smith planting a header not far away. But as I look up, Chesterfield are back on the attack. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0.
Derby on the attack here down the right hand side, up towards halfway, trying to respond. Only a goal down, of course, despite being on the back foot throughout the majority of the opening 37 minutes here at a very lovely summery Ewood Park this evening. Down this left-hand side again, it's at the feet of Erin Cashin, who signed a new contract. He's been there, of course, since part of the academy, the Irish defender, 22 years of age. He was a Young Player of the Year last year and actually made it into the AFL League One Team of the Season as well. It was a very impressive campaign. I mean, defensively they were very impressive last season. 22 clean sheets they managed to keep. Joe Wildsmith was in goal for the majority of those, and he's gone off to join West Bromwich Albion this season in the Championship. Now down this left-hand side, a chance maybe for Derby to try and get forward again. Elder looking to combine with Mendes Lang. Osborne whips a ball over towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It almost broke at the edge of the penalty spot, or around the penalty spot to Barkhazen then, but just couldn't get it under control. And desperately, Blackburn will get it clear into no man's land, and this is the first bit of pressure really that Derby have had.
Yeah, it is, and they've got to take advantage of it, especially at this time, just ticking into the 39th minute. Can you put them under pressure before half time?
Early ball swung in to try and find Osborne. It had to be dealt with and put behind by Carter, and it's going to be another corner for Derby County away to our left-hand side. Paul Warne, obviously traditionally known for the woolly hat, he's gone for the cap, seeing as it's summer. I'm quite pleased about that, because I was concerned he'd be in his woolly, and it's not really the weather for that.
No, it's not, even in Blackburn, and to be fair, I think it's the first time I've been here and I've not had my heated gilet on, so that's a bonus.
I would point out last time we were here you had your heated soles on as well.
I had heated everything. It was so cold.
It was that cold and it was snowing. Here's the corner on the far side for Derby County, which Osborne is going to deliver, and he does. Towards the edge of that 6-yard box, Ozo almost got there, but it's nodded down in a way, but only half clear, because it'll be picked up on this near touchline by Jackson. Jackson then will just give the ball in once more, and it's drilled this time with a fair old bit of pace towards the penalty spot. Half cleared again. Gay's going to try and get on the end of it once more, but can't. Jackson's in, goes down, wants the free kick, but Blackburn will get it clear as the ball goes back to Pears at the edge of his 6-yard box, and he'll clip the ball out wide on this right hand side, where Rankin Costello just nonchalantly chests that ball down and then clips one over the top for Gay to try and chase. He's going to go up, is he, with Vickers? No, he leaves Vickers to gather it at the edge of the penalty area, and Derby will try and break out again from that right hand side. Can they get something before half time? Just over 5 minutes to go. Rovers 1, Derby County 0. You're listening to Talksport 2, your home of the EFL on the opening night of this EFL season. We've got reporters on all tonight's games, of course, keeping you across the goals, and it's been a busy opening 45 minutes, which Adrian will round up for you at half time. In the meantime, Rankin Costello down this right hand side lays that one forward, and the attempted cross is drilled in that time by Hedges, but Ozo's done really well, the Crystal Palace loanee, to win it back for Derby County. Tries to set Caden Jackson away, but again the long ball is comfortably looked after at the back by that solid Blackburn Rovers unit.
Yeah, and it's been really composed as well. There's obviously moments where they've had to put the body on the line in the last couple of moments, but actually then when they win it back, they're quite happy to play it round the back line, play it back to Pears. They've got the trust in him. His distribution, by the way, out to the wide players to then pass the press of Derby County when they have done it has been excellent.
I think there's a feeling that some goalkeeping competition for Ainsley Pears is wanted at Blackburn Rovers. He saw him here against Sheffield Wednesday at the end of last season. He had a terrible game. Real calamity after calamity that day. But at the moment, again, you're talking the only real senior keeper. The keeper on the bench today is Joe Hilton, one of the youngsters who was signed from Everton in 2019, but no real experience. Just one game so far, and that was in the Carabao Cup last season against Walsall. So they are a little bit light there, but again, finance is quite tricky. The owners, of course, embroiled in court cases over in India as well, so money is not free-flowing. So although they want to keep Sammy Schmodix, the financial rewards for potentially selling him may well be required. Left-hand side again, ball delivered by Hedges. It's half blocked out for a throw by the corner flag on that far touchline for Blackburn Rovers as they attack the Derby County goal away to our right-hand side once more. Closing stages of the first half on Talksport 2. Tyrese Dolan's goal is what separates the two sides as things stand. Throw from that far side towards the edge of the penalty area, and Gay was trying to use that real physical presence of his to win the ball back, the Senegalese forward, but in the end there's a foul, and it's committed by Lewis Travis, and it will be a free kick for Derby County midway inside their own half. What if there's been any more goals at Oakwell in the game between Barnsley and Mansfield for Adrian Clark?
It's still Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2, but Barnsley really are fighting their way back into this one. That shape change, going to a back four from Darryl Clark, has completely transformed the complexion of the game. We've seen efforts from Phillips and Waters go close in the last couple of minutes or so. It's been a half of two halves. Just 3 minutes to play until the interval. It is Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2.
Maybe Darryl Clark proving it is more like rocket science. A quick tactical change in the opening 45 minutes paying dividends for Barnsley so far. We're into the final 2 minutes here at Ewood Park. The stampede for the half-time pies has begun. And it's a free kick for Derby County, about 15 yards inside their own half. I mean, you have to say Josh Vickers hasn't had many saves to make in the Derby County goal. He's launched this one forward towards Mendes Lang, who does get the knockdown, but it's cleared by Blackburn Rovers at the edge of the penalty area. And it's out on this near side. And that's a good tackle by Gay, was it? No, it's a foul. And it's a challenge on Callum Elder. He's not happy about that tackle from Maktar Gay. Looks very frustrated by it.
Yeah, he does dive in a little bit there, Gay. We've got the benefit of the replay on the screens in front of us, but I like the attitude, the way that he wants to win it back quickly. If he had have won it back there legally, Derby County would have been in all sorts of issues, but I think for Derby that they've got to be better in possession. They're so wasteful at the moment.
Launched forward towards the edge of the penalty area, nodded down again. This time I think Jackson was up there trying to get possession for Derby County, but it's cleared out as far as Hoopmine again, who swings a lovely delicate ball into the box. Dangerous ball as well, bounced at the edge of the 6-yard box and is gathered up by Pears, who really had to watch that all the way.
Yeah, he did it. It's one of those wicked balls. It's got loads of pace, loads of spin on it, especially where then it skips up off the turf. I think it was Nelson as well that's diving in to try and get a touch on it, and we've seen that before where it deceives the keeper. They're maybe expecting a touch and goes in the back of the net, but Pears there does well. But you mentioned it earlier about Vickers, and it's the same with Pears, I think, in terms of neither keeper has really had too much to do. There's not been a lot of action in front of goal. It's all been in the middle of the pitch.
It has, and the tempo that we saw early on obviously has not quite been picked up again, and that's probably no great surprise. But I think in many ways, if you're Paul Warne, you're going to go in at half-time feeling quite content at 1-0, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, as can be, it initially in the early stages of the game looked like Blackburn were going to run riot. Obviously they've got their noses in front, so they'll certainly be the happy of the two teams. But you mentioned, for Derby County and Paul Warne, it could have been a lot worse.
Or is Mendes Lang? It may be about to get a lot better. Mendes Lang tries to play it across to Caden Jackson, but that's desperate defending at the edge of the 6-yard box, and boy was it needed that time from Tom Hyam, I think, who's put it behind for a corner. Otherwise it was an open goal for Jackson.
Yeah, it was brilliant in terms of that positional sense, and as well the way that he has his body, the fact he can fully get it away. It's not a deflection that goes towards goal. He manages to fully clear the ball because of his body position.
The Scotsman was so impressive for Coventry City before he made the move to Blackburn Rovers. Here's the corner, right-footed, swung towards the far post for Derby County, headed away quite comfortably, and then he'll try and bring that clear on that far touchline. I think it was Franklin Costello who was going in to try and head it away, maybe Hayden Carter actually, and I think he's got the free kick for it. In fact, the referee's going to say we've had enough. We've had a minute of added time at the end of this first half, and the half-time whistle blows, and it's been quite a while since Blackburn Rovers have had the advantage at the half-time here at Ewood Park. They haven't won here in the Championship since February. That was a victory against Stoke prior to John Eustace's arrival, but they have the lead here at half-time against Derby County on their return to the Championship. Tyrese Dolan with his first of the season, a big season for him before the end of his contract in 2025, but he's made the perfect start from close range, and half-time at Ewood Park, it's Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 0.
And we're waiting for half-times elsewhere, but Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, talk to me about that goal. Tyrese Dolan's name is next to it, but as you said rightly in commentary, what a brilliant build-up, midfield interchange of passes, midfield running off the ball. They cut a swathe through Derby County, didn't they? It was brilliant.
Yeah, and it's one of those where it looks simple, and it's one of those in football, the up, back and through. And as I said, on the face of it looks simple, but for me there's a lot of things that have to work in moving parts in terms of the movement off the ball into the midfield has to have enough pace on it. The set then has to be good enough in terms of, yes, there has to be movement on the ball, but you need to almost stop it dead at the same time. Then the movement off the ball going forward, I've been really impressed with Gay and his movement both on and off the ball. And then, as I mentioned in commentary with Dolan, it looks easy, it's about 7 yards out, but actually has to backtrack a little bit, and especially when you're backtracking, it's easy to almost lean back and the ball fly over the bar, but he makes sure that he hits through it clean, gets his body over the ball as much as possible so he hits the back of the net. And been really impressed with Blackburn, especially in wide areas, and as you mentioned, because of that tight passing through the middle, and then whether it be Britton or Pickering or Hedges or Rankin Costello, there's always someone out wide, and there's almost at times playing blind balls because the Blackburn players, they know that there's going to be those players out wide, so they can just play the ball without thinking, and at times it's been a real joy to watch.
It has been fantastic. Talk to me about Lewis Travis, because you mentioned in commentary with Adam he was on loan at Ipswich Town. Something clearly went wrong with him and John Dahl Thomason. This is his first Ewood Park start since November last year. First start at Ewood Park in his best position in midfield since October the 1st last year. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, hasn't he?
He's been absolutely all over the place. He's not stopped. But actually, I'm maybe doing a little bit of a disservice by saying that, because on the ball as well, he's been excellent. Yes, off the ball, his running, his tenacity, to be in the right place at the right time is excellent. But not a lot of players have this, but Travis does. He can flip that switch, he can work really hard, and then he can just simmer it down when he's on the ball and find that calmness and composure on the ball. I've been really impressed, and I'm sure the Blackburn Rovers fans are very, very happy to have him back.
Talk to me about Derby, because first 10 minutes Blackburn had 7 crosses, Derby none. First 12 minutes Blackburn won 4 aerial duels, Derby County won none. They got off to a terrible stinky start. They've got a little bit better since, but I'm not sure that Paul Warne will be happy, and the fans weren't happy with Paul Warne last season. They were calling it warm ball. They don't like the way he plays. I think in the end they thought, well, we've got up with it, it's been effective, so let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. But he'll be under pressure quick if he can't get results and can't get performances, even in the Championship. And he's lucky for me that it's only 1-0.
Yeah, he is. It could have been a lot worse. They were shell-shocked for me in the first 12-15 minutes. It was like they didn't know what to do. They maybe weren't expecting the start that Blackburn Rovers had. And don't get me wrong, it was electric start. But you've got to find a way out of the game, out of that moment in time. And I don't think they did that. And for me, you say, in terms of Warne and the way that his teams play, you know what you're getting, but actually I've watched this and I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure. It's a little bit all over the place. Out of possession, yes, you know, they're compact, but when they win the ball back, sometimes they want to try and play through the thirds, other times it's going really long and they're trying to find Jackson, then they're just pumping the ball up. There's such a lack of composure on the ball, and it just feels to me a little bit like they don't actually know what they're trying to achieve at this moment in time, Derby County.
There was a brilliant moment with you and Adam quite early in the first half. About maybe 15-20 minutes gone, Adam says Derby trying to keep it tight. You just said failing miserably. it was absolutely spot on as well. You're right. I'm wondering if he knows what kind of identity they need. I know it's 45 minutes into the season, but this is Derby County. They've had a pre-season. Their fans have expectations.
Yeah, they do, and as I mentioned, they're trying to be so compact, which, you know, coming into the Championship, you're almost not wanting to lose, but actually they're really playing into Blackburn's hands, because I mentioned it, they love the width, they love getting their fullbacks on. Hedges and Rankin Costello as well, and they've got a great relationship with the fullback. Sometimes they roll inside, sometimes actually the fullback's there just to support, and those players, Hedges and Rankin Costello, get wide. So the fact that Derby are so compact and effectively giving Blackburn the width when that's what they want seems a little bit strange to me.
Yeah, listen, we'll be back with you for more high comedy with the commentary in the second half, as live on Talksport 2, Blackburn lead Derby by a 1-0. It's half-time in the other game in the Championship on the opening night of the EFL season at Deepdale. Talksport's Natalie Pike.
It's Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1. Oliver Arblaster's goal that separates the teams in this energetic and really enjoyable first half of football at Deepdale. The boyhood Blade getting his first senior goal for the club that he supports. A very special moment for him and the travelling Blades fans, who have really made themselves known in this first half. The goal itself, not one to be remembered though. Good play from Andre Brooks, another boyhood Blade, who had too much time. He played a short square pass which Arblaster struck from outside the 18-yard box. The ball took a wicked deflection, sending Freddie Woodman the wrong way and into the back of the net. It's been a frustrating start for Preston North End. They've played well, particularly towards the end of the half, where they put the pressure on. They had shots from Potts and from Rees, but the Blades have been defending resolutely. Few boos at half-time from the Preston North End fans. Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 1.
So early for boos, isn't it? Blimey, give them a chance. Barnsley's first half of the campaign has been very weird. You do all your pre-season, then opening night you're 2 down inside 20 minutes at home at Oakwell. Watching a classic maybe for Talksport 2, Adrian Clark.
Yeah, right. Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2 at the break. If this is the kind of breathless football that League One is going to throw at this season, do not take your eyes off of this division. The first 25 minutes belong to Mansfield, who are playing quite brilliantly. Impressive Australian international Keanu Bacchus had a strike disallowed early on, but not long afterwards, on 13 minutes, Stephen Quinn netted a left foot scorcher into the top corner, an absolute humdinger. Lee Gregory doubled the Stags' lead 5 minutes later, heading home a Bacchus cross that sent 3,000 travelling fans wild out to my left. This prompted Darryl Clark in his first match as Barnsley boss to switch to a 4-4-2 diamond. He replaced young wing-back Gent with midfielder Russell on 26 minutes, and it changed the pattern of the game completely. Luke O'Connell scored with a deflected strike on 32 minutes to give the home side hope, and then Phillips, Waters and Cosgrove all went close as the Tykes fought back back with a vengeance. More of the same, please. At half-time, it's Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2.
And the manager sacked at the end of last season at Barnsley, Neil Collins, is here at Chesterfield tonight, watching this League Two encounter in the home side lead at half-time. Alan Biggs.
Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0, and Chesterfield, they really must feel they're still in the National League. There's so much on top. It's been like a continuation of most of last season, playing with real purpose, poise, panache, effective off the ball as well, and deserving, I think, more than their narrow lead provided by Armando Dobra. Really smart finish from a tight angle. Not quite sure how he managed to squeeze it past the Swindon keeper Jack Bycroft, who moments earlier had parried an effort from Will Grigg, but no question that the Swindon keeper performed a fantastic save later from Will Grigg. Wonderful low to his left. It looked a certain goal. In between times, should have been a penalty. Look, no doubt. We had a very good view of it here in the press box. Michael Jacobs cleaned out by Grant Hall. Mysteriously, the referee did not give a penalty for that. There's been little from Swindon apart from a Harry Smith header that went just wide. Crowd here 9,262, 859. That's a good following from Swindon, but it's Chesterfield's night so far on their return to the EFL. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0.
Yeah, and that penalty, inexplicable. The failure to award a penalty. Either the ref or the lino has to see what has happened there. In fairness to both, we had a better view than both of those, but definitely a penalty not given, and some things never change, and never should they change in football as well. Half times then, Blackburn 1, Derby 0, Preston 0, Sheffield United 1, both those in the Championship. League 1, Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2. Here in League 2, it's Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0. Scottish Championship, a couple of games. Ayr 3, Airdrie 0. They're into the second half, and it's Queen's Park 1, Livingston 0. You're listening to Talksport 2, where Blackburn lead Derby by a goal to 0. Second half here on Talksport 2 with Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Adam Bridge.
Thank you, Adrian. We all know that statistics can tell a funny story. Well, Derby had the most shots in that half by 6-4, and they both only had one on target. Doesn't quite tell the story in the opening 45 minutes, Courtney.
Does it include that Mendes-Lang shot that went out for a corner? Well, throw-in, was it?
Probably, who knows? But it just shows that sometimes stats don't quite tell the whole story of an opening 45 minutes. Two teams are back out. Blackburn Rovers kicking from right to left in the second half towards the Blackburn end, the Ronnie Clayton Blackburn end, away to our left-hand side. Our referee Josh Smith about to get us underway. No changes for either side, so it's pairs in goal. Britton, Carter, Hyam and Pickering across the back for Blackburn. Tronstadt and Travis, the two holding midfielders. Rankin, Costello, the goal scorer Dolan and Hedges, and then up top it's Maktar Gay for Blackburn Rovers. As for Derby County, Vickers is in goal. It's Wilson, Nelson, Cashin and Elder across the back. Ozo, Hoopmine and Osborne in midfield, with Barkhazen tucking in as well, and Jackson and Mendes-Lang invariably the two players furthest forward for Paul Warren's side. Ozo being forced back towards his own goal here, where he finds Curtis Nelson. Of course, his brother Wes was a Love Island contestant, then turned music star, but Curtis hitting the headlines tonight as Gay hits a shot from about 25 yards out. I think it took a little deflection anyway and just comfortably floated into the arms of the goalkeeper Josh Vickers away to our left-hand side. So lucky maybe to be just 1-0 up at half-time. It'll be intriguing to see what Paul Warren sends out this Derby side with as instructions for the second half, Courtney.
Yeah, it will do. They've certainly got to be more composed on the ball, but you see already Blackburn Rovers starting this second half very similar to the first half, trying to get in the faces of Derby County, winning the ball high up, high energy. So in terms of the messages from John Eustace, I don't think that's certainly changed too much, but Derby County, for me, they've got to be better on the ball, the movement off the ball as well. It was almost like in the first half they were just waiting for Mendes-Lang to do something, or pumping the ball up to Jackson and hoping for the best. So there's got to be more of a game plan if you go into to get yourself back in the game.
Well, Day's been pretty good to Blackburn Rovers in recent years. They've won their first league game of the season in the last 3 seasons. They were last beaten back in 2020. That was by Bournemouth, and last season they got the better of West Bromwich Albion as well. They did have a terrific start, remember. Here's Blackburn on the attack again, now into the penalty area. Left-footed shot that time by Rankin Costello, and that's easily saved by Vickers away to our left-hand side.
Gets himself in a good position now in the middle of the box. It's loose defending. yet again from Derby County. It's a header back into the middle of the pitch, dangerous area. Rankin Costello manages to jump on it, but just doesn't get the aggression and the power in the shot that he needed to beat Vickers.
Looking to play out from the back here, certainly Derby County, but it's being stifled by a pretty decent press at times by Blackburn Rovers. Now they've managed to break out of it though down that left hand side, and they're doing so at pace this time with Callum Elder, but then the ball's given away and Blackburn come again with Hyam stepping out from the back. Cashin will help it on its way to Elder, back in field to Ozo, who'll drive forward now. Ozo out wide to that left hand side where he manages to find Mendes Lang, who on his right foot looks towards the edge of the penalty area where 3 golden shirts appear, but in the end he's forced backwards, and it's Osborne who goes to the left hand side to Elder, then down the line again towards Mendes Lang, who's going to charge this time towards the byline, gets the cross away, but it's well blocked out on that far side by Callum Britton, and it will be a corner for Derby County on the left hand side. They did quite well on corners in the first half, and they've picked up another one here. Mendes Lang is waiting, Osborne comes across. Let's see what they've got worked out this time. I think they're going to leave it for Mendes Lang to just deliver the ball inside the penalty area this occasion, and he does at pace, and then they poked it home. The referee looks at his watch and no, it's blocked on the line right in front of the Derby County supporters. Mendes Lang, it was a very direct ball swung into that near post, and boy, there was a melee at the near stick, and they just couldn't quite poke the ball home. They have got a corner on this right hand side, but Derby were oh so close to equalising.
Absolutely no idea how that's not gone in, and I'm not sure whether this is something that Derby County have worked on in terms of making that front post area an issue, or whether it's just Mendes Lang off the fly. He sees the fact that Blackburn positioning is really poor and just tries to sneak it in at that near post.
Pears has initially made the first block from Mendes Lang, and then it's the effort of the captain Barkhazen that does get totally blocked on the line by Ainsley Pears. Well, we said he's not had much to do. He's made 2 excellent stops there in the opening stages of this second half. Right, we're now going to see the corner delivered from this right hand side, but again there's some issues inside the penalty area which need dealing with, and he's called together Travis on this occasion, and also Cashin as well, are the 2 being spoken to by referee Josh Smith. There's plenty of holding, pulling, pushing, shoving. I'm sure they won't leave the near post unattended this time round. Corner going to be swung in by Osborne from this right hand side, left footed, that goes towards the edge of that 6-yard box again. It's out this time as far as Hoopmine, who plays it wide to that left hand side. He was looking for Mendes Lang, and Derby will look to build again. There's plenty of gold shirts forward still down this right hand side. Here's Osborne onto his left foot, plays the ball infield, and it's Cashin who's coming back, who helps out by gathering possession. He was clipped in the process, referee says play on. Decent crossfield ball that time to find on that far touchline Jackson, and Mendes Lang has now moved out wide to this right hand side, and the furthest player forward actually was Curtis Nelson. They're getting back into a little bit of shape now at Derby County, and Blackburn trying to just keep them at bay, and they've forced them back deep inside their own half, and actually Blackburn have run a really good job there of pressing that to nullify the possession they were having.
Yeah, they have, and it's just given them that little bit of time then to set up in their shape, get bodies behind the ball, made it difficult for Derby County. And then you see there, long ball to nothing, Blackburn Rovers have the ball back.
It's clever play from John Eustace's side there, very innocuous, but made it really difficult for Derby County to go anywhere. They'll try again now with Caden Jackson down that left hand touchline, infield to Ozo, who's immediately being closed down by Dolan. They go again out wide to that left hand side where Elder's looking to pick it up. Infield to Ozo again, 35 yards from goal. Cuts back towards Nelson, edge of the centre circle. 6 minutes gone in the second half. It remains Rovers 1, Derby County 0. You're listening to your home of the EFL, Talksport 2, and again the defending from Rovers, they forced Derby all the way back to Josh Vickers at the edge of his own penalty area, away to our left hand side, without them laying a meaningful glove on the Blackburn Rovers defence. Oh, they've done well to win it back here. Gay, edge of the penalty area, right footed shot. Oh, he scuffed his shot, no power in it at all, and Vickers makes a very comfortable save. That really should have been 2-0 to Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah, he's got to do better. Credit, I think it's Nelson, comes back across and just does enough, gets a little bit of contact to maybe put Gay off, but still for me, Gay's got to do better there. Try and bend it in that bottom right-hand corner, but just doesn't get the power in the shot that he needs.
7 minutes gone in the second half. Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 0. What's happening at Deepdale between Preston and Sheffield United, Natalie Pike?
Preston 0, Sheffield United 1, but we've had an absolutely cracking opening 6 or 7 minutes here. We've had 4 good chances, 2 for each team. Preston started really quickly. New signing Sam Greenwood had a good chance with just a minute on the clock. Kiefer Moore for Sheffield United then had his first chance of the game, but the shot went well over. He's just had his second chance of the game that was well saved. And in between that, Jack Watmore picked up a stray ball, drove towards the Sheffield United goal with his shot going just to the left-hand side of the goal. It's really lifted the Preston fans here. They are singing for the first time. It's Preston 0, Sheffield United 1.
That's a terrible ball played out wide to this right-hand side by Jackson into no man's land, just as Derby have managed to just break through the midfield of Blackburn Rovers, but it will just be a throw down this left-hand side for the home team, midway inside their own half, leading here by a 1-0, courtesy of Tyrese Dolan in that opening 45 minutes. Forward this time by Harry Pickering on this near touchline. They are lacking a bit of cover in fullbacks, I think it's fair to say. Another couple of areas that I think John Eustace would like to strengthen. I'm sure he's got Rudy Gestead, his sporting director, on the case. Now down the right hand side, it's forward by Kane Wilson for Derby. Barkhuizen gets that across the edge of the 6-yard box and 2 Blackburn players collide. It's Britton and Carter who come together to get it clear, and it's Dolan who'll pick it up just outside the edge of the penalty area on this left hand side. But then Blackburn happy to take their time. Plenty of empty seats, of course, not a place that's filled to the rafters nowadays. The home support, 17,000 in total in tonight, and just under 4,000 of the travelling fans who've come to visit Ewood Park.
Yeah, it's obviously a bit of a throwback, isn't it, this stadium, to the Premier League days, and not quite filling it to the capacity. But still, I think there's some good support here, and they keep playing like this, more expansive, more exciting football, then through the season those numbers are going to rise.
Well, knocked down by Gay, but he's offside, and it will be a free kick for Derby County, and they're attacking down that left hand side again now. Derby just inside Blackburn Rovers territory, forced back to Cashin, who's on halfway, and now on this right hand side it's Curtis Nelson again, who will look to play the ball forward towards the feet that time, and picked up by Hoop 9, who's just muscled out of it. Here's Dolan, and maybe a chance now for Blackburn Rovers to counter. We'll head off to Oakwell in a moment, but it's Derby County on the attack again. Cashin just opens up for him, and it's a good challenge in the middle of the park again from Tronstad, who wins it back for Blackburn Rovers. Very scrappy, each team giving the ball away, no one with consistent pressure at this moment in time, and a chance then for Derby to do it. It's well intercepted, and we'll get that update from Oakwell. Adrian Clark.
Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2, a little bit tamer. Oh, as a shot just whistles over the crossbar from Luke O'Connell, the captain, the new captain for Barnsley this season. He's been really, really impressive since they made the switch to a 4-4-2 diamond, Barnsley, and that right footer is just almost nestled in the top corner. No real chances of note, but Barnsley are very much in this game. It's Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2.
10 minutes gone in the second half here at Ewood Park. It remains Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby 0. You're listening to Talksport 2, your home of the EFL. Derby looking to attack down that left-hand side, and it's on halfway with Osborne, former Sheffield United man, of course, forward to the feet of Mendes Lang, who lays it back to Osborne once more. He's trying to control things from midfield, but again he just sees a wall of blue and white shirts in front of him. Now he goes wide down the left hand side. Now here's Mendes Lang, more threatening position, level with the edge of the penalty area on that left hand side. Chance to get the ball in maybe for Elder. Him and Mendes Lang combine nicely. Mendes Lang then tries to deliver, blocked out for a throw on the far side. Quickly to Deepdale, a goal, Natalie Pike.
It's Preston 0, Sheffield United 2, and Hamer with a brilliant lob over the top of Freddie Woodman. It's come off the back of a frantic opening 10 minutes. It has been end-to-end football. Preston thought they had cleared the ball, but it ended up at the feet of Gustava Hamer, the Sheffield United fans' favourite, and he's made it 2-0. It's Preston 0, Sheffield United 2.
2-0 then to Sheffield United. Looks like a winning return to the Championship for Chris Wilder's side. Here, Derby on the attack down that left-hand side, almost putting a couple of decent balls inside the penalty area to cause Blackburn Rovers problems. Here they are again, Mendes, Lang and Elder combining nicely. Elder towards the byline, edge of the 6-yard box, lays it in about 3 yards out from goal, and it had to be cleared, and it had to be cleared well that time, once more by Hyam. There's a problem here for the centre forward Mac Targay, who is down on halfway. He only had 45 minutes last weekend, his first 45 minutes in a Blackburn Rovers shirt. There was a question mark prior to today as to how long he would last. The question is, if he does go off, where does John Eustace turn? Does he turn to Sammy Schmodics or does he not?
I mean, we don't know the conversations that have been had. Is it Schmodics almost taking himself out, doesn't want to get injured before he moves, in terms of, you mentioned as well, the sort of training he's been doing on his own. Is he ready to go into a game like this? It's a difficult one, so I think John Eustace will be a little bit twitchy right now.
Well, Gay is receiving treatment. We can head off to the SMH Group Stadium and find out how the second half started between Chesterfield and Swindon with Alan Biggs.
It remains Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0. A relatively quiet start to the second half, although the crowd is anything but. It's over 9,000, and I'm told that's Chesterfield's biggest first home crowd of a season since 1971. You have to go back 53 years for that. They're pretty happy so far. Swindon, though, are making more of a fist of it in this second period. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0.
Well, the answer to our previous question, Courtney, is Yuki Ohashi is ready to come on down below. The 28-year-old Japanese forward, he scored 11 in 22 games prior to his transfer because the season was going on in Japan for Sanfrecce Hiroshima. So he is stripped and ready to come on. He's put his bib back on now because they're trying to work out actually that game may be okay to continue. In the meantime, there's defending and they're a man down here for Blackburn Rovers, and they need to do it towards the edge of the penalty area. Flicked towards the edge of that 6-yard box where Nelson was waiting. Now it's poked out wide to this right-hand side, but it wasn't done very well, and it can't be kept in by Kane Wilson, and it will be a throw down this left-hand side. And I have to say, Kenzo Hoopmine, his first appearance in a Derby shirt, the game seems to have just almost passed him by.
Yeah, and we've not mentioned him a lot, have we? And you say his head's almost on the swivel. It's like he's watching everything going on, but he's on the periphery of everything, not really involved. And just there as well, I had a little bit of a giggle to myself because it's Nelson again that's trying to get on the ball in the box, and every time it seems to be Nelson, and he's the centre half.
Yeah, it certainly was. On this right-hand side, the throw is with Kane Wilson. Looks like Gay is okay to continue for now. Into the box it goes, right by the byline. Then they just try to play it back out to look for a delivery from Hoopmine, but it's out of play, and it will actually be a throw to Blackburn down this left-hand side, 5 yards or so from the corner flag. So a reminder elsewhere: Preston 0, Sheffield United 2, Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2, and it's Chesterfield 1, Swindon 0 as things stand. And we've had an hour of those games this evening on Talksport 2. Sammy Schmodics out warming up. Maybe he is going to come on.
Maybe. Interesting. I think Vyman's gone out as well, but yeah, I think it very much answers a question. If Gay is to come off and Schmodics doesn't make an appearance, it probably tells you all that you need to know.
Obviously, there are extra substitutes warming up now because it's 5 allowed to warm up throughout the season down the side of a pitch, as opposed to the old 3, of course. Pickering's done well there. Here's Gay, has a touch, just muscled out of it by Ozo, who's done brilliantly. 30 yards out from goal. Ozo wide to the left-hand side. Mendes Lang with a chance maybe to deliver here for Derby. Gives it to Elder, who swings it high towards the back post. Headed goalwards in the end by Kane Wilson, who was hanging on the back of the last defender. The right fullback was inside the penalty area, but his header is wide.
Yeah, he does really well, Wilson, because he's under pressure there, but he's strong, he's brave. A really good leap on him, and for a moment, Pears is scrambling towards his near post, but sort of gets all his angles right and just lets it trickle from Pears' perspective past the right side of the post and out for a goal kick.
Well, it's going to be, I think, the first substitution will be Ohashi, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be long before we see Sammy Schmodics. Just from the body language of John Eustace's backroom down there to Schmodics, and also Vyman as well. We shall see. maybe they are going to go for this, Blackburn Rovers. 62 minutes played. Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby. Now, I guess the issue is they don't want to, if they're going to sell him, they need the money because they need to strengthen, so they don't want to get him injured. However, if he's here, put him in that shop window, maybe.
Yeah, talk about rock and a hard place for John Eustace, and yeah, it's a difficult one for him, but just going back to Gay, you just see now, I don't know necessarily whether it's injury, a bit of cramp or fatigue, but he was so electric in that first half, doing so well to hold the ball up, was moving quickly off the back shoulder of the defenders, and now you just see he's starting to tire, that fatigue setting in, so they need to get him off.
He's coming. Ahashi's coming, Vyman's coming, Schmodix is coming.
They're all coming.
They're not messing around here, are they? I think the front three will be replaced for Blackburn Rovers. Down that far touchline, just trying to get on the end of it was Jackson, but again, brilliant defending from Hayden Carter. He's just seen him out the way there with just brute strength in the end. Now maybe down that left-hand side, Elder's coming forward again. He's getting a bit of change in this second half, Elder. Gets to the byline, cuts it back inside the box, and it's half cleared from inside the penalty area, that time by Callum Britton. Maybe a chance to escape for Dolan, but he can't quite get there. And the triple change is coming. Derby are roaring their players on because this is the best spell of the game for them so far. But here's Tyrese Dolan, the goal scorer, into Travis. They just lost the grip of this game in midfield, Blackburn. They're trying to get it back. Hedges down the left-hand side. Gets it forward into space where Travis is there, but he's snuffed out by the hard work on that occasion of Nelson, and it's Barkhazen who plays it out wide to that left-hand side. Here come Derby. I mean, it's an interesting tactic from Eustace. You're losing the ball in midfield, but you're sticking on three front players.
Yeah, I mean, I would bolster in midfield, but equally, I like the fact that he's making the changes. He's not sort of waiting and maybe putting one on and then waiting a little bit further. He senses it. The whole crowd can sense it. We can sense it. The game is starting to get away from Blackburn Rovers. So he is going forward, he's making the changes, sticking to his guns, and I don't mind that at all.
Barkhazen has gone down with an injury as well, so while that's treated and we get some changes, there's been a goal at the SMH Group Stadium. Chesterfield against Swindon for Talksport 2, Alan Biggs.
Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1, an absolute stunner. A goal from Will Wright on his Swindon League debut, one of their summer signings that he won't better in his entire career. He ran from just inside his half, a powerful, pacey run, matched by a ferocious shot into the top corner. Great equaliser against the run of play, but it's Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1.
Here's the first change. Rankin Costello departs. Andy Vyman's gone on to the field of play. We're then going to see Maktar Gay depart to be replaced by the Japanese forward Ahashi on his debut for Blackburn Rovers. And then last but by no means least, his number's already gone up, but Sammy Schmodix is about to enter the fray, and listen to the roar. And there it is. Sammy Schmodix, they're on their feet around Ewood Park. Have a listen to that.
Wow, that's certainly a message, isn't it, from the fans to Sammy Schmodix. They don't want to see him go. They want to see him in a Blackburn shirt for as long as possible.
And there's also a change there for Derby County. James Collins has come on to replace Tom Barkhazen as well. I think the other player that went off was Ryan Hedges. So we'll see Schmodix probably drop into the 10, Dolan go out wide on the left-hand side, Ohashi up top, and Vyman on the right. It's quite some front line, actually, for Blackburn Rovers. I think it's safe to say. 65 minutes played. Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 0. Derby with possession at the edge of their own penalty area, and in the form of Edding Cashew. Gives it short to Nelson. Nelson out wide on this right-hand side to Kane Wilson. Wilson, who was signed from Bristol City back in 2023. Down that right-hand side now, he manages to get the ball away to Caden Jackson, who tries to cross it and wins his side a corner.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because we've not seen Jackson do that all day in terms of what we've just seen Collins do. Come back, hold the ball up, play it out to a wide player, and they get something from it, Derby County, and that's what you get when you play your players in the right positions.
Well, we said it at half-time, didn't we? He's not a forward, he's not a centre-forward, Jackson. He's a wide player, and someone like Collins will hold the ball up, which he's done already, and he's only been on the field for 60 seconds. Taken short, Mendes Lang on this right-hand side, on his right foot, clips the ball towards that back post, header, goal, terrific header! and it's Curtis Nelson who announces himself and Derby County back in the Championship. It's a wonderful header from Nelson. He's looked the most likely to score, the centre half for Derby County, and boy has he! It's a terrific header, and 4,000 Rams fans away to our right hand side, celebrating in style. 67 minutes played. It's Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 1.
Of course it's Nelson. He's the centre half and he's looked the most likely. He's the one that's had that movement in the box, had that quick turn of pace, trying to do everything to get on the end of the ball. By the way though, this ball from Mendez-Laing, it's a little bit special the way he digs it out. It's got wicked pace and curl on it, and it's coming almost back towards Nelson, and then he's meeting it with a full forehead. He's up, he's big, he's getting the power on the ball as well. You see his back arching, his neck come back. Great contact with the ball, leaving Ainsley Pears absolutely no chance.
What a header that is. That's fantastic from Curtis Nelson. 1-1 then, quarter of the way, or halfway through this second half. Paul Warren clapping enthusiastically, hands in pockets now with his cap on down below. They had a lovely spell, they were on top in the game. John Eustace made those changes, and yet Derby County go up the other end and score. It's game on here at Ewood Park. A reminder, Preston 0, Sheffield United 2 at Deepdale. It's Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2 at Oakwell, and 1 apiece at the SMH at Chesterfield and Swindon. Opening night of the EFL on Talksport 2, and it's bringing drama by the bucket load already. Right hand side for Blackburn Rovers. Callum Britton's there. Carter has possession again towards the edge of his own penalty area. Gets it across to Hire. Now out wide on this left hand side, Pickering wants it, goes towards Dolan. Good sliding challenge that time, real energy from Kane Wilson. And there's a spring in the step of Derby County now. 1-1. Back in the Championship. Last time these two met on the opening day of a campaign, it finished 1-1 as well. That was back in 2013 down at Pride Park though. Here we are at Ewood Park. Still plenty of time. Dolan charging down this left hand side. Inside him is Ohashi trying to get his first touch of the ball, but he's penalised for a foul, and that will be a free kick away to our left hand side. And the sight of the Derby County fans here, just all bouncing in their black and white away to our right hand side.
Yeah, it's brilliant. This is what we've missed over the summer, isn't it? These type of emotions. And yeah, they're certainly enjoying themselves, the Derby County fans, but rightly so, because that was a wonderful ball in from Mendez-Laing and a really accomplished header from Nelson.
It really was, and as you said several times, he was the most likely to score in this game. He was the one who was up top every single time. Here's Mendez-Laing. That shows the quality he's got in those boots. We mentioned the assists last season. Only 2 players more than him, 16 in total he managed. Well, he's off the mark as well for this Championship campaign as well. 20 minutes left here, it's all in the balance here. Blackburn Rovers 1, Derby County 1. Derby with possession on the far side. They have a throw about 10 yards inside the Blackburn Rovers half. And they'll be forced back inside their own territory. Here's Ozo in the centre circle. He's got some room to manoeuvre here as Ozo slips the ball down this right hand side. Jackson's there under the challenge of Dolan, and he's fouled Dolan to win the ball for Derby County. So it's all in the balance here. Probably not at Deepdale. Preston against Sheffield United. Natalie Pike.
Preston 0, Sheffield United 2. About 20 minutes left here, and the game has settled down somewhat, but the Blades really look like they're just stretching their legs now. Andre Brooks has been so impressive down the wings. He had the assist for the first, and he nearly had another when he slipped a nice cheeky ball through to Hamer, who couldn't get the shot off. They've just nearly had another chance there, but they couldn't. Sheffield United couldn't get on the end of it. Potts has had a good chance over Preston, but it was a good save by Davies in the net for Sheffield United. It's Preston 0, Sheffield United 2.
Tyrese Dolan on the charge here, but a terrific tackle that time by Erin Kashim, but Rovers have got it back. Travis inside the penalty area, right hand side, cut onto the left foot, pung over by Vyman, header! And a goal for Blackburn Rovers, and Andy Vyman on his debut for Rovers, who restore their lead at Ewood Park. The simplest of headers at the back post, the desire of Travis the ball into the box, and the finish from Vyman was excellent. And Derby County weren't level for long. And Andy Vyman, he scores goals wherever he goes, and he's off the mark for Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers 2, Derby County 1.
Yeah, and initially it's a really good passage of play. The fact that Smodics, he drops in, he plays the ball first time round the corner. There's Dolan there, Hashi, and then but it comes from the second phase of it. And what I love about this is, as you mentioned, Travis, he's just so tenacious. And then the cross in starts like a big fake, like you think it's going to come in with the right foot, doesn't get shot back. It's a lovely little ball, it's just hung up, and it seems like it hangs in the air for an absolute age. There's absolutely no mistaking that from Vyman. He's only a couple yards out, and as you mentioned, he's such an accomplished scorer in the Championship. He won't score an easier goal than that this season.
Hayden Carter, the centre half, was the one who delivered the ball in to Andy Vyman, and it's a really good goal. I mean, Vyman, you think about where he's been, Rapid Vienna initially, of course, then he came over when he left Austria as a young lad to go and play at Villa, Watford and Derby and Bristol City. He was on loan at West Bromwich Albion at the back end of last season. He's only signed a year-long deal here, but that's his 94th career goal in what is his 490th career appearance. There was a change here for Derby. Ebu Adams has come on to replace, unsurprisingly, Hoot Mine. I'm surprised he didn't start, really, Ebu Adams. He was terrific for them at the end of last season when he joined from Cardiff. But Derby, they look to come back into the game. They want a corner on that far side, the left-hand side, with 17 minutes remaining here on Talksport 2, and Blackburn leading by 2-1.
And Derby County will be so disappointed, because actually that was very much against the run of play. Derby County have been the ones with the impetus since they've scored. But that's football, isn't it? It's just that little bit of quality from Blackburn Rovers, and they get the noses in front.
Here's the corner for Derby, right-hand side again. It's swung in with some pace, but it's easily cleared at the front edge of the 6-yard box, and that's out of play. What will be a goal kick away to our right-hand side. I must tell you, the next Championship action coming up for you is tomorrow lunchtime, and if it's half as good as this, you will not want to miss Leeds against Portsmouth. Portsmouth back in the Championship. Ellen Road will be bouncing. It's live on Talksport, the build-up from 11. The game gets underway at 12:30. That's followed by the Community Shield tomorrow afternoon between Manchester City and Manchester United from Wembley. And then Sunday we've got Sheffield Wednesday against Plymouth. First game in charge for Wayne Rooney, and you can hear it exclusive to national radio on Talksport from 4 o'clock. And then Monday night, Luton against Burnley, two relegated Premier League teams. They go toe-to-toe, and that's going to be on Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff here on Talksport 2. We are your home of the EFL. We've got you covered throughout the entire season, over 150 live games, more than ever before coming at you from League One and League Two. Plus, of course, on top of all that, this time next week on Friday night, the Premier League's back as well, and we've got 4 exclusive to national radio live games for you next weekend from the Premier League 2. We really are your home of football. 15 minutes remaining here. Blackburn Rovers leading Derby County by 2-1. Offside flags up. Tell you where we haven't been for a while. Oakwell, Barnsley against Mansfield. Let's get an update from Adrian Clark.
It's still Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2. A couple of interesting substitutions. Will Evans, who joined Mansfield earlier this week from Newport, where he scored 21 league goals last season. He's on for Lee Gregory, and Conor Harahan, 7 years after leaving Barnsley, came on to a massive roar from the Oakwell faithful. In terms of what's going on the pitch, Barnsley are pushing and pressing, but not too many chances of note. The standout player is undoubtedly Luca Connor. It's still Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2.
Made a mistake at the edge of the penalty area. Now Hashi was almost in, but he's recovered himself there as the young Irishman and allowed himself to get it cleared to Ozo and try and counter, but instead it's picked up in the middle of the park and helped down that right-hand side. Charges on Britain's there. Schmolix is in the middle. Hahashi's there as well. Edge of the penalty area. Hahashi looks to fire the shot. Does he know? Gives it to Britton. Pulls it back. Goes Schmolix! Sammy Schmolix for Blackburn Rovers. Ewood Park is on its feet. They are lifting the roof off this place. He's picked up where he left off last season. The Premier marksman in the Championship. He's still here. They still love him, and he's still scoring goals. It's Blackburn Rovers 3, Derby County 1.
Oh, isn't it funny the way that football writes these stories? Soon as you saw him come on the pitch, you think he's going to score. It's written for him. Ahashi initially does well, picks the ball up on the edge of the box, controls it well, plays the ball out to the right hand side. It's a good ball into Schmodix, and I like his movement. He just stops and he shuffles, just takes a couple of steps backwards, and he just gives himself a little bit of time. And you know at this point he's going in the back of the net, cool as you like, side foots it just towards goal, leave Vickers no chance. And I tell you what, if that's his last goal in a Blackburn Rovers shirt, these fans will be happy.
His celebration as he holds both his arms out as if to say, well, what did you expect? What did you expect? And John Eustace, well, he's made 3 substitutions, 2 of them have scored. And it's 3-1 to Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah, I said that. I like the fact that Eustace made the decision. You see sometimes managers wait it out, maybe try and trust the players on the pitch, but as I say, I thought the game was getting away from Blackburn Rovers. It felt like that. So John Eustace makes a big decision. Certainly paid off. And as I said, if that is goodbye, then what a way Sammy Schmodix has said goodbye to the fans. But I think there's still a far way to go in this story yet with him, isn't there?
Another couple of $100,000 on the fee potentially with a goal like that. Who knows? Here's Mendes Lang. Can they respond? Derby County pulls that back from the byline, swinging it towards the penalty spot. Ozo gets in to try and win it again. It's forward by the goal scorer Nelson, but Mendes Lang would be in an offside position. 12 minutes remaining here. I'm guessing there's about 12 minutes left at the SMH Group Stadium between Chesterfield and Swindon. It was 1 apiece last time we were with Alan Biggs.
It still is. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1, and Swindon have kind of clamped this second half, but my word, it was an utterly incredible equaliser from Will Wright. You must see it if you can, and Chesterfield bringing players on from the bench, trying to conjure a winner, which I think their overall play would deserve. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1.
And I must just apologise to any cats that have gathered around your radio or any glasses I may have broken when I got a tad excited when Sammy Schmodix scored and went a little bit higher than usual. I do apologise. Maybe I need some slightly looser trousers. 3-1 to Blackburn Rovers. 11 minutes remaining here. You're listening to Talksport 2, your home of the EFL. Is there a way back for Derby County, or are these Blackburn Rovers supporters around us about to celebrate that first home win since February when they beat Stoke, when it was cold and it was miserable and it was windy and it was probably raining like most of the year up here? However, on a glorious day like today, it could well be Blackburn Rovers night, and yet another winning start to a championship season. They've got possession deep inside their own half, and they're probably happy to keep it that way now. It's Pickering who goes back infield to Hyam. What I would say, from having seen them a couple of times at the end of last season against Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday, there does seem to be a real bit of progression here. And here comes Ahashi trying to progress further towards the edge of the penalty area on his left foot. Ahashi fires his shot just over the crossbar. Well, that would have been the perfect set of substitutions then.
Yeah, it really would. But Derby County, looking at this thinking, what are you doing? Because it just keeps opening up and opening up. So as Ahashi, of course you're going to keep running with the ball. I don't think Sammy Schmodix is happy though, because he made a fantastic run just off the right hand side, and it would have been perfect for Ahashi just to slip the ball through. But as you mentioned, coming on, you want to try and make your mark, so you can't blame him for taking that on.
No, Yuki Ahashi, you get the feeling he might end up being one of those players who becomes a bit of a hero around here. And that's the thing, they have gone for options. If Sammy does go, they've spent their money on Gay, and they've spent their money on Vyman, and they've spent their money as well on Ahashi. So they're kind of preparing for Sammy Schmodix's departure. But if they did keep hold of him as well, who knows what Blackburn might achieve.
And a bit of a good mixture as well for me, in terms of, you mentioned Vyman and him in the Championship and the clubs that he's been at, is quite a safe bet. Gay and Ahashi maybe a little bit more unknown quantities, so I think they've got that good mixture of experience and exciting talent to look forward to, Blackburn Rovers.
Reminder, in the other game in the Championship, it's Preston 0, Sheffield United 2. In League 1, Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2, and it's Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1 as well. I have to say, on a night like tonight, I've really missed football, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible, the atmosphere within the stadiums. And I was driving up as well, and on my way up I'm seeing Derby County fans and Rovers fans, and just that feeling, the pubs are packed out, there's nothing like it.
It seems a long time since the beginning of May, doesn't it? Which is when the EFL and the Championship obviously called time this season. Referee not happy about the challenge on that far side. That's going to be a free kick, and we're going to see a yellow card. Which, no surprise, second time that Josh Smith has reached for his yellow card in this game. And it's a bit of frustration, I think, more than anything. And I think it was a fair foul on Ahashian. The ref's got that right. Steaming in challenge from James Collins. In the meantime, while Ahashi's getting his treatment, let's head off to Deepdale. Natalie Pike.
It's Preston 0, Sheffield United 2. The game certainly settled down now after that frantic opening to the second half. Few substitutions of note. Kane Kessler-Hayden's come on for Preston. He joined on loan from Villa this week. For Sheffield United, Ryan Brewster's come on, which led to chants of, if Brewster scores, we're on the pitch, from the Sheffield United fans. It's Preston 0, Sheffield United 2.
If I was Crawley, a comedian, I'd say that the pitch is probably safe, but it's been a while. It's been a while. I did see some terrific shots this week of Ollie McBurney, though, who's not put suntan lotion on before enjoying his new club.
Yeah, I think he mentioned he had to go out and get a few bottles of Aftersun.
Yeah, he did. He looked a tad red. It was fair to say, but the revolution at Sheffield United and the rebuild under Chris Wilder getting off to the perfect start tonight. 7 minutes remaining here at Ewood Park on what's feeling like the perfect start for John Eustace and Blackburn Rovers, and a bit of a nightmare for the 100th game in charge of Derby County for Paul Warren. That one's clipped through the keeper's comfort and missed it. Mendes Lang got there, but he's helped out by his defence as he has been throughout this game. And I mean, Dom Hyam and Hayden Carter have been terrific.
Yeah, they've been excellent, but that was nearly a nightmare for Ainsley Pears, wasn't it? But absolutely no man's land.
Free ball swung into the penalty area. Trying to go up and win it again was Nelson, the scorer of Derby County's goal. He's then stood in with a challenge on Travis, and now Schmodix down this left-hand side has got it. He's got Dolan ahead of him. Schmodix, Ahashi's in there. Ahashi with a chance to finish. First touch wasn't the best. Second touch was quite superb for Yuki Ohashi, the Japanese striker who scores on his Blackburn Rovers debut to complete almost the perfect night for Rovers fans at Ewood Park. Ohashi with a delightful finish. And all three subs have scored. Blackburn have scored 4. It is the perfect night for John Eustace, the perfect night for Blackburn Rovers, and a nightmare start to life in the Championship for Derby County. Blackburn Rovers 4, Derby County 1.
Well, take a bow, John Eustace. We don't always give managers the credit where it's due, but obviously the players coming in have changed the game, but he made that decision. Back to front from Blackburn Rovers. It's precise, it's quick, it's slick. Derby County, obviously they're trying to get back into the game, but this has happened quite a few times now where they get caught in the transition. The ball in, by the way, Schmodix, you're thinking, are you going to take it on? Are you going to hit it? There's probably a question of selfishness around him at the minute, wanting to leave, but there's nothing selfish about this. Perfect ball into his teammate, and you mentioned it, Ahashi's first touch, it wasn't great, it bobbled up a little bit, but I'll tell you what, the second one, lovely little dink over the goalkeeper. I've got a lot of time for that.
I was just about to say, as a striker, you'd love that, wouldn't you?
Oh, it's a wonderful finish, and especially when I think you're so keen to impress, you're excited to have that little moment, just to take half a second, to have that little bit of skill and composure to chip it over the goalkeeper. Brilliant.
5 minutes left here. Blackburn Rovers 4, Derby County 1. Any sign of any more goals at Oakwell between Barnsley and Mansfield, Adrian Clark?
Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2. We've almost seen a third from Mansfield. There's Will Evans with a diving header. We almost got the equaliser a moment or two ago. It's a massive chance. It's a knockdown inside the box. Sam Cosgrove, 8 yards out on the volley. Blazes over. Really poor finish. It's still Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2.
Any sign of a winner at the SMH Group Stadium, Alan Biggs?
Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1. I think it might well finish like this. Chesterfield bringing on Kane Drummond, a new striker from the bench, but chances are very few in this second half. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1.
4 minutes left here at Ewood Park. Rovers 4, Derby County 1. And I think, Paul Warren was under no illusion from his time in the Championship before how difficult life is in this division, and what a step up it is from League One. But you feel this Derby County squad have got that message tonight as well.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the smaller details mean the biggest things, and for me, for example, the tempo and the weight of passing has been night and day between Blackburn Rovers and Derby County tonight. And it might seem like quite a small thing, but it's made such a difference. And they've been ruthless, Blackburn Rovers. They've been cutthroat. And yeah, if it carries on like this, it's going to be a long old season for Derby County.
A yellow card for Tyrese Dolan and a substitution. He's off, and Danny Bart is coming on to make his debut for Blackburn Rovers. Bit of a veteran, as we know. He was at Norwich last season, signed on a free transfer. Former Wolves and Stoke man will just slot into that back line towards the end of this game for Blackburn Rovers. So another debutant for John Eustace's side. That's clever run by Mendes Lang on this right hand side, clips the ball forward, Pears punches from inside his 6-yard box, out as far as Mendes Lang again on this near touchline. He's going towards the edge of the penalty area. He's got support outside of him, but Mendes Lang again will just try and keep possession himself. Oh, delightful touch of skill from Mendes Lang. Inside the box now is Jackson, who tries to cross it, and it's blocked out for a corner on this right hand side.
I think Mendes Lang and Nelson, they've been the standouts today, haven't they, for Derby County? You see that Mendes Lang he's of this quality of the Championship, but so far not seen that from the rest of the teammates. They've got a lot of catching up to do.
Corner down the right hand side, right footed from Mendes Lang, nodded down and in, and it's another goal for Derby County. They pull back a second, and Kane Wilson with a header from the corner. Another delivery by Mendes Lang, and a powerful header from Wilson is beyond Pears and settles into the bottom right hand corner. They couldn't, could they? 2 minutes to go here. Blackburn Rovers 4, Derby County 2.
I tell you what, if they can get back on level terms, it's going to be something spectacular. For me, this is nothing but a consolation, but yet again, what a wonderful delivery from Mendes Lang. And for Wilson, right place at the right time, makes the run. It's a good header. Blackburn Rovers will be disappointed with that because the defending was really poor.
It was, good bit of movement from Wilson. No one really picking him up, and they've scored 2 terrific headers tonight, have Derby County, and that may just well give them a little bit of hope as we head towards the final minute of normal time here. A reminder, the other games still going on. Preston 0, Sheffield United 2, it's Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2. Is Nigel Clough going to hang on for that first win back in League One? And it's Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1. First game back in the Football League for Chesterfield, of course, as well. That was 3 goals in the space of 12 minutes for Blackburn, who really applied the afterburners. And Josh Smith with another yellow card out this time. Another little pullback, penalised, and Lewis Travis will step forward to take this free kick. And it's Cashin this time that's gone in the book for his foul on Ohashi.
And Ohashi does well. I like his movement. He drops in, uses his body really well, gets on the half turn, protects the ball, and knows that the only way Cashin can come out with anything there is making a foul.
I know they've won the game, or look like they're going to win the game tonight, but the one thing I do worry about Blackburn is the goalkeeper. It really is a point of concern if they are going to try and do something this season. That does seem to be the area they need to strengthen, or at least give him some good competition.
Yeah, there's been a couple of shaky moments, hasn't there? And I think Pears is one of those strange ones where for 95% of the game he's trustworthy. You know, he plays balls out with his feet really well and starts attacks, but then he's always got something in him that you feel he's just maybe going to have a little bit of rush of blood to head, and we've seen it a couple of times. And as you say, especially when points are so hard to come by in the Championship, that certainly needs to improve.
He's the son, of course, of the old Middlesbrough keeper Stephen Pears, and of course was at Borough himself. 7 clean sheets last season for him. Throwing on that far side. We're into 5 added minutes at the end of the game here at Ewood Park. Any sign of a goal in the closing stages at Oakwell, Adrian Clark?
No, it's still Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2. We're into the last minute. We almost got a third from Mansfield just a moment ago. Hiram Boateng off the bench, a thunderbolt from 15 yards out, but it was brilliantly tipped wide from Ben Killett. It's still Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2.
Nervous Nigel Clough, I'm sure, on the touchlines, although he never actually looks nervous about anything, does he? Here come Derby down that left-hand side. Liam Thompson delivering a ball into the penalty area. Headed half away that time by Carter. It's back out and swung in right-footed this time and fairly direct, and again Hayden Carter gets his head on it. Here is Caden Jackson, far touchline, edge of the box, right-footed ball, swung towards the back post. Oh, it's clipped the woodwork and gone out of play for what will be a goal kick. But again, Pears is all over the place as that ball just sailed over his head.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think that's what Jackson meant But Pez, in terms of that thing when the keeper pulls their arms away really quickly and they get their spatial awareness right and it sails over the bar, that was far too close for comfort.
I think he was just trying to prove a point to me, maybe, or at least prove my point. Any sign of a winner for Alan Biggs between Chesterfield and Swindon?
Well, yes, briefly just now. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1. We've just started 6 minutes of added time. James Berry on a substitute had an opportunity. His shot was blocked. It's all Chesterfield in the closing stages. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1.
3 added minutes remaining here at Ewood Park. Rovers 4, Derby County 2. Well, good pick up on this near side, but the score of Derby County's second goal, Kane Wilson, he's away down this right-hand side. Is he fouled in the process by Pickering? The referee says no. Wilson's on the floor and very frustrated that he wasn't given the free kick. Ball cleared away for Rovers towards Ohashi, who's chasing that one down, but it's with Cashin, who will have it at the edge of his own penalty area. He'll give it short to Nelson here, who certainly has got plenty of credit going forward for Derby County tonight. I suppose as a defensive unit, if you concede 4 goals, you probably can't take too much credit. Here's Mendes Lang on this right-hand side. Couple of assists for him. He's often running and he'll be a real threat, particularly from set pieces for Derby County this season. On halfway is Nelson coming forward for Derby in those gold kits, gold shirts they're wearing tonight, of course, to commemorate that 50th anniversary of that First Division title under Billy Mackay. Funny enough, they were actually modelled when the kit was released by the likes of Roy McFarland and Colin Todd, of course, who were players in that squad 50 years ago. What a squad it was too. So 90 seconds or so left here, and John Eustace will be a very happy man with his team's workout. Yeah,
he will. There'll be a couple of things, specifically that second goal from the corner. I think they'll be disappointed with that. But in general, I think they've looked really good. The fact that substitutes come on rather, and they've made a difference. So they've showed 2 sides of the game as well. The first half, it was more about them in possession, using those wide areas, and in the second half it's about scoring against the run of play, that determination to stick in, and also playing on the counter-attack, being clever when Derby County trying to get back into the game and flood bodies forward. They were really clever and precise going back to front.
No surprise that Lewis Travis has been announced as the man of the match within the stadium. Of course, he's been terrific on his first game back in the Blackburn Rovers shirt from that loan spell at Ipswich at the back end of last season. What's Vickers going to do at the edge of his box here? Oh, he's played it up in the air under pressure from Sammy Schmodix. It's taken down on this right-hand side. Tyrese Forner has done well and then just runs into the close attentions that time of Tronstadt, who puts it out for a throw on this near touchline. 20 seconds of the 5 minutes added remaining here on what's been an excellent night for Blackburn Rovers, and a real shot in the arm, you feel, for Derby County about what lies ahead between now and May in this unrelenting Championship division. And at that point, Josh Smith puts his whistle to his lips and he blows up for a terrific evening for John Eustace's side. They've scored 4 goals. Yes, they've conceded 2 against Derby County, but the nature of the play and the fact they've secured their first home win in the Championship since Stoke back in February says it all about this performance from Blackburn Rovers. They led in the first half courtesy of Tyrese Dolan. They were pegged back by a terrific header from Curtis Nielsen as Derby had their best spell of play midway through the second half. But a triple substitution, the introduction of Vyman, Schmodix and Ohashi, all 3 of them scoring within the space of 12 minutes, took the game away from Derby. A late consolation header from Kane Wilson, but it's Blackburn's night, it's John Eustace's night. And I'll tell you what, the roar when Sammy Schmodix entered the pitch, let alone score that goal, is the perfect way, you feel, to start this Championship season. It's terrific to have the EFL back, and what a start at Ewood Park. Blackburn Rovers 4, Derby County 2.
Goals galore, what a start at Ewood Park, as Adam Bridge just said. And I'll tell you what, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, by the way, still playing here at Chesterfield. We're in injury time. Chesterfield on the attack, trying to get the winner in their first game back in the EFL, but the Swindon keeper collects it. Stays 1-1 here. What a second half that was. Derby, to be fair to them, did come out. They did have a go. They got back on level terms. And then the substitutions from John Eustace just blew Derby away.
Yeah, it really did, and I think, as you mentioned, you've got to give credit to Derby. They tried to change it. I think the fact that James Collins came on, played a little bit more centrally, you put Jackson out wide, putting him in his preferred position certainly worked. But that little bit of quality, that difference between the Championship and League One certainly showed. And John Eustace, you've got to give him credit. I like it when managers go and they make big decisions, and that's what he did. 3 substitutes. They looked a bit leggy in the midfield, but he went, no, I'm going to change the forward line. This is going to be the right thing to do, and he was spot on. The substitutes made all the difference, and that's what you want. And I think especially that's where the positivity for me will come from Blackburn Rovers today, because the starting 11 did their job. They ran their hearts out, obviously early in the season as well, so you know that you're going to get that fatigue. And then the substitutes again doing exactly what you want them to do, not moaning or being Mardy, that's a Leicester word, being upset is the word I'm looking for, that they're not starting. They've come on and they're going to I'm going to come on and I'm going to prove a point and show John Eustace why I should be starting. So yeah, I think it's a really good all-round performance from Blackburn Rovers, and they'll be very happy with their night's work.
And nobody should be surprised Lewis Travis was around on the match, not on the score sheet, but there was one of the goals, I think it was Smodic's goal, where he's put in a tackle, 2 seconds later he's put in a brilliant pass. He was at the heart of everything.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously I always think about goals as obviously a former centre forward, but you've got to give credit to Travis. He was absolutely excellent, both in and out of possession. He did everything that you would expect of him. He's left himself on the pitch, and that's the sort of performances that the fans love to see, when you give absolutely everything for the shirt, and that's what Travis did tonight.
Derby County, yeah, you can give them a little bit of credit because they came out second half and got on level terms, and they had a little bit of threat, I suppose. He might point to the 2 goals and say, well, at least we can score at this level. But what about his in-game management? Because the substitutions from Eustace were brilliant, the reaction from Paul Warne less so.
Yeah, certainly, and even from the start, I think me and Adam have both mentioned it, why Jackson was playing down the middle, we're not sure. He didn't make any sort of an impact, and as soon as Collins comes on, first thing he did, I think he made a bit of a movement, held it up, and played the ball out wide to Jackson, and they got an attack from it, Derby. I think it ended in a corner. So yeah, I think the in-game decision making, it was a little bit slow, and where John Eustace was extremely decisive, I would say that Paul Warne was a little bit ponderous.
Smodic's with a goal then, off the bench. He did a little calm down to all the fans in his celebration. I wonder what Kieran McKenna's thinking right now. What do you think?
Add a few 100,000 and see if that turns the arm. But no, look, he's a fantastic player. He's had a brilliant season last season. I think it still remains to be seen for me. I think 10 million's a bit steep, especially with not playing in the Premier League before. But we'll see. There's no doubt about it. There's a good player there, and whether that is his goodbye or whether that's the way that he starts the rest of the season and he plays that in a Blackburn Rovers shirt remains to be seen. But the most important thing for a forward player is getting off the mark early, and Sammy Smodics has done that wherever he may end up.
And Courtney, just quickly, honestly, what a way to start the season. We've got up to 150 live exclusive EFL games, a 6-goal thriller to start with. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely love it. This is why we love the EFL, the Championship, the Premier League's back soon. And you know what, I'm just sitting here thinking I'm so grateful, because I absolutely love my job. What a night.
Brilliant. Courtney Sweetman-Coat, thank you very much. Blackburn 4, Derby 2, live and exclusive and only on Talksport 2 tonight. What about the other game in the Championship at Deepdale? It is all over for Talksport 2's Natalie Pike.
And it's finished Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 2. And of course the 3 points there for Sheffield United will wipe out that 2 points deduction and move them on to a point. And they really made a statement of intent tonight. A goal in each half that won it for the Blades. The first for Oliver Arblaster, the boyhood Blade, getting his first senior goal for the club that he supports. It was a really special moment, and the Sheffield United fans were so loud all night. The assist for that goal also came from another boyhood Blade in Andre Brooks. So it was a really proud night for the Sheffield United Academy. The second half started frantically. It was end to end. There was 6 shots between the teams before Hamer made it 2-0. Preston keeper Freddie Woodman fumbled. He cleared the ball, but he threw it directly into the path of Gus Hamer, who finished with a lovely lob over the top of the stranded keeper. The Preston fans started to leave with 10 minutes to go. There was a few remaining at the full-time whistle and they booed. It's a perfect start for Chris Wilder though, but last season's end of season bad form for Preston continues. It's now 6 league games without a goal for them. Preston North End 0, Sheffield United 2.
And the Blades go from bottom to second in the table in one evening. What happened in the game in League One at Oakwell? Talksport's Adrian Clark.
Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2. Nigel Clough's Mansfield celebrate their return to the third tier after a 21-year absence with a hard-fought victory that was earned inside a golden opening 20-minute spell. Stephen Quinn got them going with a stunner on 13 minutes, fizzing a left foot strike into the top corner. Then on his second Stags debut, returning striker Lee Gregory headed in at the near post to double the lead. At this point, a red-faced Barnsley boss Darryl Clark changed the game completely by making a 26-minute sub, ditching his back three to match up Mansfield's formation. Within minutes, Luke O'Connell had pulled one back with a deflected effort, and from then on, the hosts were the better side. In the second half, Connell and Cosgrove did have chances, but Mansfield regrouped well and were largely comfortable, seeing the game out comfortably. In fact, they're unlucky not to extend their lead. Mansfield look well equipped for League One, and rest assured they're going to stick with the attacking football that got them here in the first place. It's finished. Barnsley 1, Mansfield Town 2.
And just the one game in League Two tonight. It was here at Chesterfield. Here's Talksport's Alan Biggs.
Chesterfield 1, Swindon Town 1. Chesterfield's first point back in the Football League, and they'll feel it should have been all three. They certainly got the performance for the most part, but not the points, and that was mostly due to an absolute wonder goal. I can't overstress that, from Will Wright on his Swindon debut. The centre-half signing from Crawley ran from halfway, powering forward before unleashing an unstoppable shot from the edge of the area. It just can't legislate for that sort of goal. It was a real stunner in every sense, especially for most in the 9,000 crowd, but credit Swindon also for a much more resilient second half after they were outplayed and often outfought in the first, when Armando Dobra scored sharply from an angle. Also a clear penalty was refused, and Will Grigg was brilliantly denied by Jack Bycroft. So at the end of this, some satisfaction for both managers, including Mark Kennedy in his first game in charge of the visitors. Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1.
And I echo what Alan said about that goal. Will Wright dropped his shoulder in his own half to send an opponent out for a hot dog. He's then surged forward, unloaded a beauty with no backlift into the top corner of the net. Unstoppable. It was a pushgas contender. An absolutely brilliant goal, the like of which it's going to be tough to better that one this season. Privileged to witness that one, and I hear he's a lovely chap as well. Full times then tonight, Championship. It is back. Blackburn 4, Derby 2, Preston 0, Sheffield United 2, League 1, Barnsley 1, Mansfield 2, League 2 here, Chesterfield 1, Swindon 1, Scottish Championship, Ayr United 5, Airdrie 0, Queen's Park 1, Livingston 1, in the Northern Ireland Premiership, Glentoran 0, Crusaders 1, and in the Cymru Premier, Newtown 4, Aberystwyth with 1. EFL back on the Talksport network tomorrow lunchtime. Leeds Pompey live and exclusive, 12:30 kickoff, but our coverage starts from Ellen Road at 11 a.m. with Faker Others. That's over on Talksport, and the Sports Bar weekend are about to get underway on Talksport as well. Jason Cundy and Carlton Cole, your calls 03717 2233 44. Coming up next here on Talksport 2, it's live PGA Tour golf. We'll find out how the Sedgefield Country Club in North Carolina is coping with Storm Debbie. It certainly affected the first round. Olympics live on Talksport 2 tomorrow afternoon, starting from 2 p.m. with live coverage from Paris on the penultimate day of the games. Closing ceremony will be live on Talksport on Sunday. But live on Talksport 2 tonight, the EFL is back, and Sammy Smodics back among the goals. Blackburn want 10 million for him. Ipswich might well have to pay it. Golf next on Talksport 2.